Ladies and gentlemen, how are you guys doing today? Well, we have made it, almost made it for some of us. Some of us have already made it, almost made it to the end of 2017. Look at that. 2017 is about to disappear. Of course, it's just an academic number, but nonetheless, it's about to disappear on us. What a wonderful thing, right, folks? As usual, I have this impromptu thing. I just pop up on YouTube. Woo! And you see my face again. And we're talking Justice League, of course. And amazingly, we have one viewer already. He's popped out of nowhere. I don't know who this person is, but woohoo! Deuces to people, man. So I'm going to go see Justice League if it's in the theater tonight, hopefully. We'll see what happens with that. But in the meantime, we want to talk a little bit about Justice League once again. Now, I am a Christian, so we start everything out with scripture. Those of you who don't like scripture, too bad. I'm going to drop scripture on you guys as usual. So Psalms 49 was where I last read. And the last thing I read about was no matter how wealthy you are. Actually, that wasn't here. I don't know where I did that. I think I could have done it on Facebook. I'm on so many different social media sites. It's not funny. But this is what I want to share with you guys. It says, he that sees a wise man dies, sees also the fool and the brutish person die the same, and they leave their wealth to other people. Their inner thought is that their houses shall continue forever. And so, because of that, they name their dwelling places and their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man, being in honor, does not abide forever. But like the beast of the fields, he perishes. See, very interesting thing about life is we all inevitably have to die. So that I say this, and I'm not saying it with great joy. It's not a joyous thing, but I'm just saying that a lot of times we have rich people, we have successful people, we have people who want to pass on their legacies, and we have cities and towns and streets and buildings named after people. We have highly influential people. We have people at the top of the chain. We have businesses. We have corporations. We have countries at the top of the ladder. But they don't stay there forever. They got to die. And they got to leave those things behind. So what I'm trying to say to you guys is this. I'm not trying to be overly spiritual with you guys, but I'm trying to say something. I'm trying to say that we are not going to be here forever. Of course, there's the saying, who wants to live, according to Queen, forever? You know that song, right? But we're not going to be here forever, folks. That's a reality we have to face. And so what we do with this time, what we do with ourselves, you know, growing up, I was taught you have to be successful in life. You have to amass wealth. You have to be able to be secure. You have to get security. You have to get a nice home, you know, live well with people in society, build a reputation, build a legacy. But you got to understand what I'm saying here, because this is from a king of Israel back in the days when he was at the pinnacle of his power. And interestingly enough, this guy got the point. He got it. He would not last forever. He would not live forever. And a lot of us want to have some part of us live on forever. So we talk about our legacy and posterity, and we start naming things after ourselves, not knowing if those things will ever stay that way, because they very, very rarely do. And the point being this, people don't even remember you. You don't even come to people's remembrance after a certain period of time. And the reason that is so, the scripture tells us the only eternal things in this world besides the world itself being somewhat eternal, because people come and go, the world is still here, is that values that you may acquire for yourself for a period of time, but then you'll have to leave them behind. These things are eternal. When we talk about values such as love, kindness, they're not specific to any particular individual, but these are things we long for, we strive towards, because they're eternal things. Yeah, there's things from which things are created and so on. So what I try to say to people is, don't focus on me because I came out of the darkness and came out there to speak with you guys. Focus on qualities, not just to apprehend them in your life, but to share these qualities with other people. Why I talk about the DCEU and why I talk about Justice League so much to you guys is because I saw the virtue, aka the qualities that I thought were admirable that I could share with other people. Some of the qualities which I personally identify with and have taken into my life to share with other people. I don't always perfectly do them, don't get it wrong, but these are the things that matter. It is good to amass things. It's good to be comfortable in life, but there are things much more important than those things. And that is what we are developing, not only by defending and supporting this movie, but we are also developing by interacting with each other. We're learning how to really deal with challenges and overcome them. That's the fun part about this whole thing. And that's why we've been pushing. We still have 4 more weeks to go, guys. 3 more weekends, okay? Before this movie finishes its run, at least we will, by the 10th week, I mean, there's not much we can do after the 10th week. So, and if it goes on for that, that's great. But we are pushing as hard as we can, irregardless of the result. Because hope does not deal with outcomes. Even though we are looking forward to a positive outcome, that's not the point of hope. The point of hope is to keep your eye on positive futures, constantly looking at the positivity in the future, irregardless of the outcome. It's a discipline. All right, so moving forward, not crushed, it seems, not even in an inkling, seeming as if I've lost hope, but that doesn't mean I haven't lost some hope, because hope can be lost and it can be found, right? We saw that in Justice League. We're going to talk a little bit more about Justice League. We keep on going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, so we're going to go deeper. Bear in mind the scripture I read, because that scripture is important for what I'm about to say concerning Justice League. All right? Now, Justice League, the thing about this movie that is very true to life, as with all of the movies we've seen in the DCEU, which separates it from the MCU. It separates from the MCU completely, because the DCEU has symbolism, and it talks about qualities and traits of individuals. It's not focusing on individuals, but on the qualities, the traits they represent. And they very clearly outlined what makes these superheroes what they are. They were it was very important to do that. So we know what Wonder Woman symbolizes, and of course I've done a number of videos on that in other arena. I've not been in this arena on YouTube because of copyright, but I have gone on other arenas and put out the information concerning Wonder Woman. And I've done a video before. I'm talking again. Sorry, it has to be a talking thing. I prefer to show you, but you know, it's YouTube, and their policies on copyright make it so that it limits me to what I can do on YouTube with regards to that. YouTube's a wonderful platform, but it has its limitations. Whereas I can show you what I'm talking about in a much more powerful way using my video editing skills. I can show you in a much more powerful and concise way what I really mean through the videos that I actually can do, but I can't do them on YouTube, so I don't bother. All right. So when it comes to Justice League, these characters are defined by certain qualities. what makes Wonder Woman what she is. Now, people say, well, Captain America has certain qualities, and Iron Man has certain qualities, and Spider-Man has, and I'm not saying no. But I'm saying the DCEU takes a dive into those qualities, not just on a superficial level, but they dive into these qualities relevant to us right now, our world, what's happening right now, relevant to now. Okay? And that's different to the MCU. It's different to the Marvel world of X-Men and so on that Fox had. Okay? In fact, it's different to the CW. It's different to Rebirth. Not the Rebirth comics, sorry. The Rebirth comics go deep. They're different to the, whatchamacallit thing, Justice League Action. Okay? This is the first time you're getting a nice dive into a comic book character, because Zack Snyder's been doing that since Man of Steel. Because he's put these characters in our world. So there's a lot of meaning and depth to these things, and you literally can take these things and apply them to your daily life, which I love. I love that. I love that it's instructive like that. It's just wonderful. Again, Zack Snyder. Cannot thank this guy enough for what he's done on screen. And somebody can get it to Zack Snyder. I know he's dealing with his daughter's death, obviously, and it seriously affected him, and I'm sure members of his family. But as he continues onwards and seeks to embody certain aspects of Autumn that has passed away, so that her death is not in vain, but that he can own certain aspects of her and carry that on with him, I think it just makes his storytelling even better. I know he's not thinking about storytelling at this point in time. I'm sure his mind's nowhere near there. Even as a very creative person, I'm sure he's just trying to come to grips with it. But at the same time, I will tell you that I believe that these experiences, which is part of life, it's just what it is. Life is like that. It's not predictable. Teach us to value each other even more. And it's still hard to do, because even me, but I'm living with, my mom is here with me, right? I live with my mom. I live in her house, not my house. This is her house. But the interesting thing about it is, why do we have to wait to value each other? Why do I have to wait to value my mother when she's gone? Or value her when she's not capable of being the person that I've taken for granted for so many years? So what I'm trying to say to you is, like the scripture, life is something you cannot put a price tag on. And no matter how much people want to talk about legacy and live on forever and all of that baloney, they have to die. So you have certain things, ladies and gentlemen, for a certain period of time. Nothing stays absolute forever, except for qualities. And so you have to understand, when you are moving through your days, which are numbered, they are numbered. They are not infinite. When you move through your days, consider admirable qualities to share with other people, that their lives can be better for it. It's all about inspiring people, giving them more reason to live, more reason to enjoy the fruit of life. That's what it's all about. Now, you can be like the average Joe in the world who is bugged down and depressed. So many, listen, man, I went on Twitter, and I'm going to be very honest, brutally honest with you, especially this year. The amount of depressing lingo, some people do it in the form of comedy, some people are saying it straight up, how depressed they are, is amazing. On social media, the amount of negativity and depression on social media is amazing. Because what do we mostly get in our news media? That's sensationalized, but negative, depressing things. And if you feed your mind on depressing things, you're going to be depressed. Okay? Simple. But life is too short for that. Now, you don't have fake optimism. You don't. You gotta face reality. Reality is reality. You know, I'm a realist, like I told you guys, and I face reality. But it doesn't mean. Remember, that's what I love about Justice League. It doesn't mean you have to be bogged down by the darkness around you. There are going to be times when it's going to be dark. And you're not going to be laughing, and it's not going to be funny, and there's not going to be smiles. This is a reality. We understand this. We saw it in BBS. But what I'm trying to tell you is you must never lose sight of hope, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You may not be smiling. It may not be easygoings. There be nothing to laugh about, but it doesn't mean you can't stay hopeful. There's always a reason to live because you always have something to give. Okay? So Justice League is beautiful in the sense that this movie is carrying us along in the DCEU. And this movie is the end point of that journey of Superman. It's an end point or a certain key point at the end of the journey, Wonder Woman. It is also another key point at the end of the journey of Batman. All three of these characters have gone through a lot of darkness. All of them. They reacted to the darkness differently. All of them gave up at a certain point in time. All of them lost hope at a certain point in time. But the beautiful thing about this story that's instructive to us is, as Superman said in the beginning of Justice League, it's like a bunch of keys. It's right there, but you might have just lost track of it. Hope always, according to Lois Lane, comes back if you give it time. Now, sometimes people lose hope. And unfortunately, like Autumn Snyder, a beautiful young lady, she lost the hope, but she never found it back in time because she took action while she was hopeless. She took action while she was hopeless. And what are acts when people don't have hope? They are acts of destruction as a result of fear, which brings forth hatred. And in this atmosphere in the world today, people are feeding more off of fear and hatred, and they therefore can't accept responsibility for their lives. They blame other people for things that are happening. They blame the leaders. They blame other people who they think are having it easy. There's a lot of blame going on. There's a lot of hate going on, and there's a lot of fear in the atmosphere. A lot of depressed people, a lot of discouraged people, a lot of disappointed people. When entertainment becomes something where people are getting disappointed, it tells you something about the people. It tells you that the people are becoming disparaged, that the people are becoming hopeless, that the usual pleasures of life, going to the cinema and enjoying entertainment, have become a chore because life is bugging them down. Because when your entertainment becomes politics, there's no enjoyment in that anymore. There's only partisanship. It's not about going to the movies to enjoy a movie anymore. It's about, this is the worst movie ever. Don't go and see it. Before you could even get into the cinema. That's the caustic environment we're dealing with now. The world has become narcissistic, skeptical, and it's become poisoned. When I don't like someone, I simply circulate rumors about them. I go low, and I try to tear them down however I can. And that's the world we're living in now. So when I saw Superman say, I believe in truth, but I'm a big fan of justice. For once, I could identify with that. It didn't sound cheesy. And he came at the right timing. See, the DCEU, in my opinion, is not one that tried to follow in the lineage of, well, there's this story, and then this story follows that story, and then this story follows that story, like how Marvel does. Oh, we introduced this character, then we have their own movie, and we introduced this character, and they have their own movie. But at the end of the day, what did the movie say? What was it trying to tell you about the character and how the character stands in the world? What did Spider-Man Homecoming tell you? Oh, but Spider-Man believed in himself. That's it. We've heard that 100 million times. What did Wonder Woman tell you? What did Man of Steel tell you? About yourself. About your capabilities. What did Batman v Superman tell you? About the world. About trying to do things that are right in this world. What did it tell you? Is it easy? Do you get praise for doing the right thing all the time? Is it simple? As everybody tries to make it sound. Oh, he's a superhero. Everything he does is right. What happens when you have exceptional abilities in this world? What happens when you stand out like a sore thumb in this world? Because it seems you go against the grain. Because it seems you're standing for something and everybody else in the herd is saying is wrong. Don't you look crazy? Don't you look like you're the villain? See, empowering movies take risks. They're bold. They don't go with what the typical Hollywood bullshit out there is saying. No. Oh, wish upon a star, and magic will happen. No. They actually have something they're telling you. I remember those days. Tom Selleck did a movie called The Innocent Man. You guys don't know about that. It's a 1990s film. It's an interesting story. Shawshank Redemption. Interesting story. About standing out. And holding fast to what you believe and holding fast to hope. Don't you remember that guy when he would commit suicide? He was going to hang himself. Then he saw the writing on them. Hope. Good movies. Different genre, but good movies. Zack Snyder. I appreciate that guy. So that's why I'm talking about the DCE right now, because their foundation, what they've been building with each movie, it's not about, oh, this guy needs to have his own standalone movie like fickle-headed people thought. Small-minded. Oh, Superman don't behave that way. Come on, man. What happens if these characters are in our world? And why do we want them to be in our world? Because we want to know what they truly represent. We want to know what hope really is in the real world. When we say we're hopeful, what do we really mean? What is hope? What is really hope? So we put it to the test with Justice League. I made you guys purpose within yourselves to hope in spite of. Doesn't mean you're going to get the results. What happened to Superman when he hoped? The world got worse. When he tried to help, what happened in BVS? The world got worse. Worse things started to happen. He got more hate. It cost him his life. What happened when Batman started to hope? Wonder Woman, of all people, supposed to be the most hopeful. She went against him. People in your own camp, when you're hopeful, they'll go against you. They'll call you fanboy. They'll call you crazy. People will kick you out of groups for telling the truth. They'll kick you out of YouTube. They'll attack you relentlessly. Look at Donald Trump. He attacks people who are telling the truth. Robert Mueller, who's investigating this guy, they're trying to get dirt on the dude. They're trying to make this guy look like he's the villain. Because when you start to tell the truth, when you start to truly do things people don't expect you to do, you're not supposed to be able to do these things. The herd, people as a group are stupid. People singularly, each individual can be very intelligent. But when because we're social creatures, a human being, go and watch the studies I'm talking about. There's psychological studies on these things. People conform to things because they feel the pressure to conform. Especially when there's so-called authority figures speaking about a thing. And of course, the fad out here now is to say I'm skeptical of authority figures. It's a fad, but it's not based on facts. See, real understanding of things means you have to have your facts in a row and be willing and humble enough to acknowledge when you're wrong. Hope is not a joke, folks. And hope, I mean, I'm not a Black American, but God knows a long time before Black people could get franchise, before they could vote. It took a long time before women could vote. These people were hopeful and they acted on it. Real talk. Real talk. See, Zack Snyder came from that perspective. The payoff was in the trilogy, the final chapter of the trilogy, where we saw hope become a reality. It was a little bit of suspension of belief, yeah, I'll give you that. And the way how the music went, you know, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, that's the message in Justice League. It's this trilogy of hope. It's all centered around Superman. So when Superman showed up and he said, I believe in truth, but I'm a big fan of justice. And Batman smiled and Aquaman said, all right. That was big. Hold on a second. I know you guys are leaving, probably lighting up the place with a lot of comments. So let's get into those comments for a minute. How many of you going off to see Justice League this weekend? I'm going to go have a look at it. Let me see what's up. Woo! Okay. I'm going to try my best to go through all of y'all. I don't care who you are. I'm going to give y'all some love. Live from Canada tonight. First of all, Happy New Year's to you, Vegathorn. I know it ain't New Year's Day yet by you, but I'm just saying, my brother. He said, live from Canada tonight. Vegathorn, out of the States for the New Year. Oh, that's all right. That's cool, man. Hey, peace to you, my brother. Leroy Kong says, hello again. Happy New Year to you. Justice League is still my #1 movie. Hey, brother, it ain't my #1 movie. BVS beats it. But, hey, I'm going to say it's my #1 movie this year. And I love, the more I think and reflect on Justice League, the more I love that movie. You know, I really wished, well, that's another story for another day, but I really wished that we could have really spent a lot of time on YouTube, putting out videos on YouTube about this. But, you know, over time, people will see how wonderful this movie really is. And the hypocrites will come out and say, you know, I always thought of that, you know, Justice League was a good movie. And they're going to come out because, you know, they're going to try and come at Aquaman next, my boy Leroy. But, you know, we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that problem. We're going to fix that. Dave Ethan. Hi, Christ I am. I'm in the middle of work. Can't talk now. Talk to you later. Shout out to you. Hopeful dude. You know, I'm happy he got a job. So I'm happy for you, man, Dave. Check you out tonight. Leroy Kong. New total for DCEU is $33.7 billion. I say a great start with 5 movies, way better than the first 5 MCU movies, big time. You know what, man, Leroy Kong, the thing about it is, right? I don't even think about the MCU too much when I think about the DCEU. That's the truth. You know, I know people compare the MCU to I mean, I did some comparisons when I was talking in this video, but only because I wanted people to appreciate what the DCU has been doing. They're not trying to do, well, this character needs a solo movie and this character needs a solo movie, and then we put them together. No, this was telling a story about themes. It wasn't about characters. It was about qualities. It was about hope. It was about love and justice. You know, it was about characteristics of courage, characteristics of wisdom, those kinds of characteristics. And that's why I focused on the scripture first before I went into what I had to say. Because, see, scripture tells us we ain't going to stay here forever. You know what I'm saying, my boy? It's the qualities that stay forever. And when we can share those qualities with other people and they embrace those things, it helps life here, right now, in this world today. And I think that's what the DCU did. That's how they went deeper into the characters, taking all the mythos of them, taking, you know, the comics of them, the written comics of them, taking also their current versions that we have in different other forms of media, whether it's the movie versions of them, the animated movie versions, whether it's the cartoon versions of them that are on TV right now, or whether it's the sitcom versions of them that you see. The DCU went deeper into what they are, what drives them, what makes them what they are. And not only that, but what makes us what we are. So I thought they really delved deeply into that. And I really appreciate that, what Warner Brothers was doing with these characters. And I appreciate Warner Brothers a lot. And I got to say, Warner Brothers did a hell of a job with all 5 of these movies. You know, Warner Brothers deserves a round of applause for what they have done so far. I'm not saying that they haven't learned the formula yet, how to really appeal to everybody. It seems apparently that the audience still digs what they do. The critics, for whatever reason, they don't like what they've had to offer for the most part. So they'll be working out how to please how to get these critics to approve what they do. But they have to understand also, I hope Warner Brothers understands there's politics going on in, unfortunately, cinema now. So cinema used to be cinema. Critics used to come in and say, okay, this was a good movie. All right, I didn't enjoy this movie. And they give you reasons why. And then they'll tell you if the people or the masses would enjoy it or not. It's not like that anymore. It's very partisan. It's very, there's a lot of agendas afoot, unfortunately, in entertainment now. I mean, Hollywood has always had agendas, but I'm saying is that in entertainment, particularly right now, there's this desire for certain competitors with other universes and stuff to make way for the MCU. And that's just the harsh reality of the situation. People are partisan. They're not trying to play games anymore. They're really attacking, and they're viciously attacking, and they don't realize that they themselves are finite. Like, they're going to die, and they're just going to disappear off the scene. Nobody's going to remember them, and other people are going to replace them. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Qualities are what matter. It's not you. It's not me. It's the qualities that matter. Because, like I said before, all the people who feel they're having their way right now, they're going to find out soon enough that they ain't going to have it forever. You got to die. You're going to die off, and you're going to try and maintain your legacy. You're going to pass it on to other people and stuff. But at the end of the day, you're going to die off. You're not going to be around. And we don't have to worry about you no more. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people don't get that. Like they feel they can play God for as long as they can wield their power a certain way. Right? It's sad, but it is what it is. Vegathon. I think we can expect high sales for the Justice League DVD. That would be awesome, man. I don't know. I don't know what will happen, because I'm telling you, there's people on a campaign to hurt this movie. They don't care. Like, they're on a campaign to hurt this movie. Their minds are closed to anything else you may say. I've seen people repeat themselves over and over and over again after I have given them logic and reasoning. They just repeat themselves, and it's just what it is. And I mean, I'm not going to say that I hate these people anymore. I pity them, because they don't realize they've been devoured by hate and fear. Hate and fear. Their fear is that these movies would be like Marvel movies. And then the hate is towards a director named Joss Whedon, who directed 2 Marvel movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And for some reason, they just have this hate towards this guy. It's like the hate towards Zack Snyder. It's blind. It had nothing to do with Zack Snyder. Like, Zack Snyder makes good movies, but nonetheless, they're going to say the worst movies ever. It's just what it is. And it's sad to see people who have been defending Zack Snyder because of blind hatred towards him turn around and have blind hatred towards Joss Whedon because he directs the film a certain way and he adds his little touch to the film and they change a little bit of the look of the film at the end. You know, and I don't think they did a bad job. I thought they did a pretty good job. You know, I just don't understand, man. People right now, the world is in a state right now where people are dissatisfied with how things are happening. They're very disappointed, and they're just expressing their rage and hatred and bitterness towards what's happening in the world on something. So they just decided to empty it out. Oh, Zack Snyder, it's a Zack Snyder film. Oh, it was never going to be a good film anyway. It was just empty out all the rage on it, you know. And that's the way how they're approaching things. And Zack Snyder is a name that it's a delicate name in the industry, because it's like you say Zack Snyder and it's associated with controversy. You know what I'm saying? And sad because the dude is a cool dude. See what I'm saying? But anything he does, because his messages are so powerful and empowering, people don't want those messages to come out. They want anything else but those messages. So they distract people. They have people build up controversies about minor things. Martha moment in Batman v Superman, because it has deeper meaning and deeper things. And it's only people like me and other people out there who have seen these deeper things and they're able to talk about them. Now people talking about, oh, Batman v Superman was a great movie. No, you did not know it was a great movie. You didn't know that. You liked the movie and then you heard people explain about the movie. And that's how you came to appreciate Zack Snyder. But you didn't know it was a great movie. You just liked it. And there's these people out there, and a lot of people out there who don't think for themselves to start with. And you can tell because when they come to me, speaking to me on this channel or otherwise, when I present information to them that they can't refute, you realize that they're not thinking for themselves. They're going, and then they're easily swayed by rumors and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is, but I'm just saying. Let's go here. I think we can expect, okay, right. Vegathorn says, Justice League Action seems more like a short, kid-friendly version. The movies tell a deeper story as opposed to these. Of course. Yeah, of course, Vegathorn. Yeah. But Justice League Action is a DC franchise. You see, what I'm trying, I need to show you guys this stuff, because when I keep on telling you guys this stuff, I keep on repeating myself, and it's somewhat annoying to me. DC has a number of properties, okay? Warner Brothers has the license to one of DC's certain amount of DC character properties. What I'm trying to explain to you guys is DC is trying to be uniform in how they present their characters, because DC is focused on the attributes. They're focused on what these characters represent. If you look at everything DC does is to promote their comic books. They want comic book sales to go up. They want people to read the Rebirth series. The Rebirth series came after Batman v Superman because it was influenced by Batman v Superman. It was influenced by the DCEU. The DCEU was influenced by the New 52. You understand? So you have to understand what DC is going for. They want people to read their comic books. That's what, at the end of the day, that's what DC does. They do comic books. So, for instance, the Justice League Action that's on the Cartoon Network is to expose the younger audience, kids, to this vast spectrum of DC. And the stories are short. They're kind of kid friendly, but they're also very interesting. Even as an adult, you'd like it because there's so much variety. They show you the powers of these characters, but also teach you a moral fabric. They teach you something about these characters. Like, for instance, when Plastic Man joined the League, they didn't take Plastic Man seriously, and then eventually they took him seriously when he could contribute in a serious way to them, right? So I'm just saying there's small little moral fabrics that it's not just appearances and how people are. Look at what they are on the inside and stuff like that. So I'm just saying There's a lot in Justice League Action. It's only 10 minutes long, so it ain't gonna be deep, but it still has something for everyone. All right, so what I'm saying is, and even the CW also tries to teach moral ethics and attributes about Superman, about Supergirl, etc., while dealing with their problems, their everyday problems that they have. Supergirl has everyday problems. She has to juggle who she is. She was trying to find out her identity. She was trying to find out what she is, you know? I'm just saying. It's TV show, it's sitcom, so don't expect it to be super deep like a movie would be. All right? Movies now can focus on the actual essence of what the character is and what they represent, etc. So I'm just trying to tell you is DC spread out all over the place. They're in sci-fi, and they're going to have a serious tone. They're on Fox. They're going to have that. They have that serious tone there. They have then CW, which has more of a different kind of tone. And then you have Cartoon Network. And then now you have Warner Brothers, which is doing the movie aspects, the DC film aspect of it. So you understand what Jeff Johns is, a creative chief officer of these things. And he coordinates with all these different outlets for DC. Understand? So at the end of the day, yes, of course, the movies tell a deeper story, but the movies also help us to put in perspective what is happening with these characters, which they actually look more or less, at least Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, they basically look like what they look. They have a uniform look. They have uniform characteristics that define them. And they also have a uniform way of, a uniform way of interaction with the different characters that they are around. So that what you end up with is, you're looking at Superman under different circumstances in the CW. He's in an alternate universe. You look at Superman in the DCEU. He's interacting with his characters now. He's kind of found out about them, and he's now interacting with them. You have Superman in the CW, in the Cartoon Network, the Justice League Action Superman, is interacting with a vast array of characters. All right, but basically he's got a relationship with Wonder Woman and Batman. Okay, so and it's a little bit different in that. Lois Lane's not really in the picture too much, but she is, but we haven't seen her much, right? When you look at the Rebirth comics give you that comprehensive look how these characters interact with everyone, but yet at the same time, while it has a vast spectrum of people and so on, they are further along probably than all these other characters. So all of these things, once you get introduced to these characters, whether it's on the CW, whether it's in Cartoon Network, whether it's on movies, the DC films, whether it's on Fox, whether it's going to be on Sci-Fi, whether it's there, once you interact with these characters, it's supposed to stimulate an interest in you reading the comics. That's the whole point behind it. So they can get their comic book sales going. All right? Leroy Clark, again, I'm going to say this. The DCU is a major threat to the MCU, and these haters are in fear. Justice League outshines every MCU movie. The story is very powerful. Yes, I agree with you in that Justice League is a deeper dive into things. And as much as people want to say it's Marvelized, which I don't get that point. I want to explain to people this is not a Marvel movie. Now, some of the soundtrack of it is actually from Marvel films. It's Joss Whedon, and he'd done some Marvel work. But it's not a Marvel movie by any shot of the imagination. No Marvel movie's ever even gone that deep into characters and dealt with characters like they do. And the storyline is deeper than any Marvel movie storyline. I don't care what Marvel movie storyline you go with. None of them are as deep as that. So, no. This movie is entertaining, but the characters don't use slapstick humor. Meaning, if you look at Thor Ragnarok, Thor's cracking jokes. He's literally cracking jokes to the monster. He's trash-talking him, right? In this movie, in Justice League, there's no trash-talking. It's situational humor straight through. Except when Batman says, I didn't bring a pitchfork, okay? But he's being snide there. But other than that, there's not really much. I think also Cyborg says, let's keep the merman away from me, right? But other than that, that's about it when it comes to jokes. There's not much trash talking. There's not much smack talking. There's not just smart aleck talk. It's situational humor. When the Flash says certain things, it's because he's afraid or, he's spooked. You know what I mean? So it's not, Flash ain't trying to be funny. None of them are trying to be funny. When you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, these guys, they're being smart alecks. They're trying to be funny with one another. This is not the case in Justice League. So whereas Marvel uses slapstick humor, they use smart aleck jokes and that kind of thing, That didn't happen in Justice League. Justice League, the situation, the threat felt like a real threat. Steppenwolf felt like he would butcher the Justice League. I mean, he was beating, he was bashing that Wonder Woman all over the place, kicking Aquaman all over the place. You know, dude was, it was real deal. It's just that when it comes to a Kryptonian like Superman, you know, he couldn't hang with him, okay? But nobody else could, you know, rough him up like that, right? So it's what it is. Not a Marvel. Spider-Man told me you don't need to be the biggest hero to make a difference. Vegathon. Hold on a second. And I'm going to say this. The DCU's a major... Oh, okay. Vegathon. Spider-Man told me you don't need to be the biggest hero to make a difference. Yes, but what does Spider-Man represent? What does Spider-Man represent, Vegathon? See, that's... It's cool to say all of that, but at the end of the day, do you know what Spider-Man represents? Like, we know what Superman represents. We know what Wonder Woman represents. We know what Batman represents. What does Spider-Man represent? See what I'm saying? All right. Vegathon, Wonder Woman told me that everyone has the capability of being evil and good, and it's a choice. That's one of the things. But again, Wonder Woman tells us what she represents. She is a protector. She defends those that cannot defend themselves. And we saw Wonder Woman be what she is because of her Amazon roots, because of her mother on that field. In No Man's Land, we saw what Wonder Woman really represents. She represents love, she represents wisdom, courage, and she protects those that can't protect themselves. She's not about destroying lives, she's about saving life. Which is another thing in Justice League that I loved. Wonder Woman was saving lives throughout Justice League. She was not intent on killing people. See, the thing is not about getting rid of the big baddie. Right? Superman's all about hope. He's about inspiring people. Yes, he saves lives as well, but he would take down the big bad if he has to. Okay? But that's not his objective either. It's always about saving lives. Batman, on the other hand, Batman will kill. He was killing parademons left, right, and center, okay? Shooting them up. He was killing. He's a different cat. He's like, justice. I will have justice. I will level the playing field, okay? And I do it by prevention. That's Batman. It's totally different to Superman and Wonder Woman. Okay. I am the avenging angel. Excuse me for a minute. Hold on one second, people. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Yes, I'm in my room. My mom wanted to talk to me about, you know, New Year and everything. So I'm talking to people here, and, you know, talking to people is what it is. I'm talking to you guys. She thinks, man, she's like, you're talking to yourself. I'm like, no, I'm not talking to myself. I'm actually talking to people live right now. It's funny. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my home. You are in my house, in my room, my bedroom to be precise. All right. So yeah. So Batman represents something a little bit different, right? And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. What is Spider-Man? Spider-Man is a guy. Oh, you know, let's talk about some other things. I'm going to talk about some other things about these characters because we're going to go deep into those characters. But We'll pull that off. Let me see what else y'all had to say here. Man of Steel told me the outsider can make a difference even if they don't look like us. Right, the alien. That's right. Yes. Megathon, Batman beast. But see, Wonder Woman, the thing about Wonder Woman is this. The message in Wonder Woman is, even though everybody has abilities to be good and there's a lot of evil in people, there's also a lot of good in people. And so don't give up on people because you see a lot of evil that they do. And that's the message for us with Wonder Woman, right? Because she didn't give up on people. She remembered the attributes of Steve Trevor and what he was trying to do, which was save lives. It's very important, saving lives, right? With not forget Spider-Man, right? For Man of Steel, it wasn't just about the outsider being able to make a difference, but it was the embracing again of mankind. Man of Steel in some ways is very much like Wonder Woman in the sense that this is a guy who's an outsider, but he's protecting people even though they want to push him away as an outsider, and they may fear him and they may want to even destroy him. He still thinks it's worth it to save them because he can be a bridge between people from another civilization and their world. Superman's a bridge between Krypton and Earth, and he can bring out the best attributes of both. It's about being an inspiration to other people. Being different can actually be a benefit, and it can be actually advantage to bring out the best in the people you're with and the people also who you represent that are not of those people you're with right now. So that's the beauty of Superman. With Wonder Woman, it's about seeing, yes, being realistic and seeing the horrible things that human beings do, but at the same time understanding they can also have the potential to do some very wonderful things. And because of that, not giving up on them. With Batman v Superman, it said, don't be quick to judge somebody, even if evidence points to it. First of all, I like what you said, but again, it doesn't necessarily mean that evidence is pointing to it. Sometimes it's rumors. Sometimes it's not evidence, but it's, you mean evidence in inverted commas. I like that. But with Batman v Superman, it's about also persisting to be, I mean, you could get that too. Don't judge other people, but it also is specifically talking about the road of a hero, a true hero. A true hero doesn't get praise for being a hero. Most of the times, a true hero, the person who actually does the bulwark, they're considered the villain. So that's the beauty of what we're talking about here, Vegathorn. It's about sometimes you persisting with doing the right thing. Doing the right thing sometimes means also that you need to adjust how you do the right thing, because sometimes you think it's the right thing, but you trample on other people's liberties in so doing the right thing. So it's not just a unilateral thing. Oh, I'm going to do the right thing, but you're not thinking about other people. So there's a lot of other variables that was going on in Batman v Superman, Vegathon. But so that you could pull what you just said there was true. Don't judge other people too quickly, which is true. But also you can look also at the fact that within the terms of Superman, if you're somebody trying to do something that's right, understand how difficult it can be, and also understand that you also may have to adjust how you go about doing the right thing so that you consult with other people who you are supposedly doing this right thing for, okay, in this world today. And don't expect a reward because you did the right thing or brownie points or people applauding you for it. Some people will, and some people even worship you for it. Some people, again, will hate you for it, and do understand that's just part of the process. Okay, and we have here a guy called Unkindness of Ravens, and this guy is pretty much emphasizes the point I just told you there, Vegathorn. He says, DCEU films are failures. Accept that and move on. So this guy, he has nothing really positive to contribute. He has nothing of substance to contribute to us, but that's part of what I'm telling you, Vegathorn. He literally is actually acting out exactly what I told you. This guy, he hates the DCU, and it's okay. And he's basically saying you should hate the DCU too, or just acknowledge it's a failure and move on, right? But we are talking about the substance of the DCU right now. We're not trying to not talk about the DCU because we're talking about it, obviously. And this guy just proves my point. Some people, when you're trying to do a good thing, they will not like you for it. And they will seek every opportunity to say something negative about what you're doing, to try and discredit you, etc. And then there are other people who will worship you for it. And like you hear people say, Zack Snyder, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Lord. It's ridiculous. People are now worshiping this dude. All he's trying to do is the right thing, like Superman. You get what I'm saying? Beautiful. Begathon. Rebellions are built on hope. Sometimes, not always. Some rebellions are built on lies. That's the truth. So some of them are built on hope. Some of them are not built on hope. You know what's the thing about hope? Hope is a positive possibility, right? But hope isn't hope unless it has truth. And so Superman is a beacon of hope. And he's about truth and he's about justice. And that's what makes him the beacon of hope. Because he's truthful and he's just. He's fair. So hope is not hope if it's built on lies. And some rebellions are built on lies. So they're not hopeful. An unkindness of other ravens. DCU films don't teach hope. They are the fever dreams of Snyder. Excuse me. Hold on a second. I think my thing just kind of slid up and down here. Where are we? Man, we got so much. People talk all kinds of stuff. Right. So unkindness of ravens, obviously he's a hater. So it is what it is. I'm going to give him a certain amount of press and then I'm just going to cut him from conversation. But let's engage him anyway. DCEU films don't teach hope. They are the fever dreams of Snyder, Ayn Rand fantasies. They're not even well-written and well-made fever dreams, just lousy. Well, that's your opinion, my friend. As I said before, I am talking about real situations right now. And once again, you are just showing us what this world really is. This world, people tend to tear down things. They don't look for virtue in it. And you're a product of this world. So you're going to say negative things, obviously, because that's where your mind is at. You're not really into the positivity. You're not really into thinking positive things. So I expect you to say that. And unkindness rate. When Superman shows up, he forgot to take his mouth along with him next time. And his joke is a bitter one, obviously. So he's laughing. But this is what I'm talking about. This is what I see on Twitter. This is what I see on even people showing hate towards Donald Trump. They don't understand. Fueling the hate inside of you doesn't help you. It destroys you. So I see people putting all these hateful things about Donald Trump, and then they put a laugh after it, not understanding he lives in a system of hate. He thrives off of hate. You being more hateful just gets him stronger, gives him a stronger platform. And so we have to move from being hateful people in this world to people who are beacons of light. That's why I told you it's not easy to be hopeful. It's not easy. Sea Dog joins in. I like Man of Steel prior to Zod landing on the planet. The stuff with Kevin Costner was really good. Justice League not showing now where I am. Okay, cool. Hey, Sea Dog, you actually said something positive, my brother. Deuces to you. Usually you don't say positive things, which is interesting. Look at that. I didn't expect that. That is unexpected. And you know what's cool about this, Sea Dog, is the more you can say in the midst of saying all kinds of negative things and blanking yourself with negative, you choose to say something positive. Let me tell you what happens. The thing about it is that you actually lift not only yourself, but other people around you. You just lifted me, strange as it sounds. You just lifted me, the energy that, well, forget about all that. You just lifted me in terms of what you said. It's strange. And you just, by me just publicizing that, you just lifted a whole bunch of other people who will be watching this video. Some of these people are going to be depressed out of their wits. And they're going to see this video and they're going to see your comment and it's going to lift them just for that moment in their situation. You'll be like, I kind of like the movie. Are you serious? Like, that's a fickle thing. Not really. Because it's something, see, when people can hear something positive, anything positive, it helps them to literally become, their mental state kind of relaxes and they're able to think about things in a better light, in a better way. So it's really cool when you can give people positive things to feed off of. All right. And in this world, I fight against a lot of negativity around me in the environment I am in. It's just because people are filled with such bitterness and hatred, because sometimes people feel you need to do things their way, otherwise they're resentful and disappointed and so on. And that's the way how life is. A lot of people, for some reason, have unrealistic expectations about life. Life is not predictable. Life is not predictable. I have a good friend of mine. She's in medical school right now, and she's having a tough time in medical school. She had all these expectations for herself, and it's not happening, and she's disappointed. And I tell her, well, things don't always go as planned, but that doesn't mean that you give up. Doesn't mean that you give up hope. And these are the things that I try to share with people, that expectations are cool. Some of them are unrealistic, right? And we have to adjust our expectations so that we don't give up, because disappointment can lead to bitterness, can lead to anger, it can lead to rage, it can lead to fear, it can lead to disappointments, and it can lead to someone giving up. I've seen people in schools studying hard, and they were under so much pressure they committed suicide. All right. And I know about that because I've never been under pressure like that, academic pressure, but I've been under other kinds of pressure, and I gave up and I almost committed suicide. So I'm telling you guys this because I'm a guy that almost committed suicide. You know what I'm saying? So I say all of this to tell you, yes, you must have some kind of expectation, but in life, it's better to be hopeful, of course, but to be able to either adjust your expectations to what is happening to you so you can adapt and therefore continue onwards, or not have any. Not have any. Don't put yourself under that pressure. Instead, live life. Have goals so that you will have some kind of expectation, but don't be so attached to that expectation that if it doesn't happen this way, this kind of way, you're damaged for it and you can't go on. You understand? And I think a lot of people, they're putting their hopes too high, or should I say not their hopes, but their wishes on things. And when it don't happen, they, like the fox and the grapes, they just immediately start to badmouth things, and they're bitter because people are getting disappointed with so many things that are happening in their lives. They're bitter about a lot of stuff, a lot of hurting people out here, man. Okay, so let me keep this going a little bit more. Right, so on Kindness of Ravens, he's going to go on to talk about how much Justice League is bad, I'm guessing. Justice League is going to lose between 70 million and 100 million after it is said and done. Good. See, he's actually rejoicing over bad news. Obviously, this person's bitter or sad or something. They have some issue in their life. And it's okay on Kindness of Ravens. I understand you're venting, but you got to understand something, my brother. At the end of the day, you still have to live. You still have to carry on with your life. I hope JL flops so hard Warner Brothers never does this again. See? Destruction. It's sad. C-Dog says, yeah, I had it needing about 830 million to break even. Oh, God. I'm not even going to bother with that. You guys know it don't need no near. It's already broken even, but that's okay. So C-Dog and Unkindness of Ravens, they go on with their discussion. I guess it's just a lot of negativity. You guys want to hear this? Let's just keep it going. WB wanted the DCU films to be opposite of the MCU. They got what they wanted. MCU is one of the highest grossing franchises on the planet. DCU is a failure. Well done. Slow clap. I guess this guy's an MCU guy, or he's a bitter DCU fan. One of the DC fan. DCU is the opposite. Okay. Conspiracy theories will not fly. The DCU films are just bad. Simple. Claiming Snyder makes great films in the epitome of delusion. The culture decides if a film is celebrated achievement or not. The culture decided Snyder films are mediocre to bad. Snyder films are bad movies. Live with it. Wow, this guy just keeps going. Nobody said BVS is a great movie except sock puppets and the same people who tried to defend it in the beginning. He's just going on and on and on. Nobody's even talking to him. It's amazing. He's got an issue. Vegathon. It's his opinion. This movie has. Unkindness of Raven says the same people who opened a petition to shut down Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't I didn't open a petition to shut down Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't know what you're talking about. Vegathorn, fans and people against it. Yeah. Okay. So I guess Vegathorn and this guy, they go on and on and on in pointless rhetoric. And then Leroy Kong says, great, great live video. And Unkindness of Raven, he just goes on and on and on here. Wow. He just goes on and on and on. And some other guy called Batmania returns. He came in, he joins in with them. They just have their discussion. And boy, are these guys going. Look at them go. And Leroy Kong, Leroy Kong comes in the middle of it and says, again, great video. You take care and keep up the good route. DCEU for life, peace, and God bless. This is funny, man. Wow. And these guys, wow, they just, the haters took over the comment section. Amazing. Wow. That is amazing. They just took over the comment section and they just kept on going. That's amazing. But anyway, continuing on with what I was saying. So, as I said before, when people are negative and Vegathon says, wow, sorry that had to happen to you. I guess he's talking about how dark the films are or some kind of thing like that. But Vegathon says, just to say, I was trying to find a middle ground. No hate on your channel. Vegathon, come on, man. It's all love, man. I hear you, my brother. Look, I understand default operation with people. These people are bitter, they're resentful, or they feel threatened and they're filled with fear. And what they're doing is some of them are Marvel fans and they come on here like Batmania Returns. They come on here and because they feel threatened, they feel they need to speak with other people. And I noticed they just be going and going and going, Vegathon. I'm like, damn. Like for somebody who hates something, you really say a lot about how much you hate something. It's like, wow. And that tells me a lot about our time. See, this is the same thing I'm talking to you guys about. How people seem to have that joy in saying how much they hate something, which means their lives are not that great. They don't feel comfortable with themselves. If you have to spend hours upon hours talking about something you hate instead of hours upon hours talking about something you love, and you see somebody who loves something and they spending hours upon hours talking about what they love, then it tells you something about the people. Because they're engulfed in a blank sheet of darkness. They can't see good things out of it. So, in my opinion, I mean, I enjoy movies, man. I enjoy what I like. You don't see me spending hours and hours talking about movies I don't like. And there's a reason. The reason is because life is to be enjoyed. Like I said before, Vegathon, you need to understand, as these other guys in this group, you're not going to live forever. You're going to die. That's a guarantee. You're going to die. So if I was you, I would spend my life trying to do things which I would enjoy and spread joy and happiness as much as I can. Not try to come and spread hate and resentment and try to get people down because they like what they like. So, but that's up to you. It's a choice every human being has to do that. And if they want to do that, well, more power to you. I just hope your life is meaningful. Because a lot of times, a lot of these people who talk about these things, they talk because either they're acting out of fear, bitterness, resentment, or disappointment. I ain't got nothing to be disappointed about. I ain't bitter about nothing. I'm a happy dude. I'm a happy camper. Let me share a little bit more about the DCU that I love and appreciate, and why it is that we can keep on being hopeful in this world and enjoy it. Because one of the things in life that we have been gifted with, all of us, at least all of us here online, as far as I do know, is that we are gifted with the ability of health, at least enough health that we can communicate with one another as still. Some people are in comas. Some people have strokes, so they can't communicate at all. They can't move their limbs or whatever. It's a blessing to have these things, to have our faculties, to be able to share with each other. And like Vega Thorne so correctly said, when you can find and get the merits of things and the value out of things in life, which is the key. The key is, no matter how terrible something can be, do make sure you can pull the value out of it, because you don't have to like everything that has value in it. That's another thing I learned a little bit earlier on in my life. I learned how to go through lectures. Sometimes a lecturer, man, he'd be boring as hell. But it's not about how boring he is. It's about the content that he's giving. And I think a lot of people, they don't understand that. They don't know how to communicate and understand principles of life and be able to see the value of a thing. And I love that, you know, the DCU gives us a lot of value, which leads me back again to another thing that really matters at the end of the day. What matters at the end of the day is, because all of us have to live real lives, right? All of us got to work for money. But I challenge each and every one of you today, in the spirit of what happened in Justice League, I challenge each and every one of you today to use your abilities, whether it is you're in a position of work or wherever you are, use your abilities to brighten, in spite of, brighten the place where you're at. I'll give you an example of what I mean. And abilities, again, has to do with the essence of who you are. Wonder Woman has a certain essence. Superman has a certain essence. The Flash has a certain essence. All right? Cyborg has a certain essence. Aquaman has a certain essence. But these different bridges, there are different bridges. There are opportunities to communicate, right? All of these different skill sets and different bridges, without being put to use. Cyborg's another, he has an essence. All of these different bridges, if they're not put to use, don't benefit nobody. And you and me, we all have a certain essence or a certain bridge. We bridge the gap to something that other people need. Today, my challenge to you is to use that bridge as a form of light. To use it so that people around you can be better for it. And my challenge to you, because this is on the verge of a new year, which is interesting because we're talking about rebirth of a year, is for you to use your beacon of light, whatever it may be. It's a certain skill that defines you. And in spite of the darkness around you, in spite of the negative sayings around you, the negativity that people will have around you, use that beacon like I'm doing right now. Use that beacon to reach somebody, because there are people out here, I'm telling you, man, who need to hear that from you. You are going to be one of those superheroes of the Justice League to that person. Like I said before, I believe this movie has started a movement, just like how Wonder Woman started a movement. I believe this movie has started a movement, and people are responding to the positivity of this movie. I can tell you that for a fact, because I know. And one of the things that makes me happy is I know it's not going to stop with me. I'm one of those people who decided, no, I'm not going into the silent night because of this movie. And a lot of things are going to happen as a result of it. But it's not the movie so much that does this. It's the ideas. Because just as with Kal-El, it's an idea that people strive towards. And they stumble and they fall, but finally they joined Kal-El and the Sun. And more of them will. And that's what makes it the Justice League. And why is it called justice? Why is it called the Justice League? Because it's justice. It's about justice. It's about being fair. It's about being honest. It's about being truthful. It's about balancing the scales. This is what we all desire, right? We all desire justice. But justice with different ingredients in them. Justice with different ingredients in them. What's the sense having justice if you're not loving, you're not caring, you're not merciful? You saw Wonder Woman, who, as we all know, the movie was titled also below The Beginning of Justice. Remember that? We know that in Wonder Woman, we saw her be merciful to that evil scientist who's making all those chemical weapons. What's the sense being just if you're not going to give people mercy? Right? All of these attributes only work in the scope of our humanity. How these things relate to our humanity. The beauty of talking about these things is because when you look at people who are only looking at one thing, they're focused on one thing, but these attributes come into the equation and they experience these attributes, it makes them change their focus on how they see life. And we already know this video has an impact on a lot of people. I've realized that now from the feedback I've been getting in different social media places. But my point is this: all of those hurting people out here, and there's a lot of them, some of them even suicidal, which is crazy. You see them up on Twitter talking about how they thinking of ending their lives and how crappy 2017 was. Some of them talking about the illnesses that they had. Some of them joking about, you know, horrible things that they want to remember. You just have to look at the hashtags. When you look at the mindset of these people, that they can't see a positive future down the road, it makes you realize that you have a mindset which people are coming at. So in the end, it's all about how you actually show or you project the light in the midst of the darkness. And once you can project that light in the midst of the darkness, that's when people can change their focal point. And it takes time, as we saw in BVS, as we saw in Man of Steel, as we saw in Justice League. And still, we're not 100% sure how the people of the earth see these heroes. And that's reflective of DC Comics again. DC Comics talks about, in fact, Justice League War was like that, where the world was skeptical about superheroes. And it's understandable. When you are someone who stands out there, you put yourself out there, and you're sending this particular message, and you don't always adhere to it, but you're sending this particular message to the world, which is in absolute opposition to what the world is emphasizing on, only negative things. The world is emphasizing on negative, 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 negative. And you come and you start talking about positive things. Of course, people are going to be skeptical of it. Of course, people are going to be narcissistic about it. Of course, people are going to be hateful about it. And some people are even going to be fearful of it because they're like, what's this? This is different. But at the end of the day, people come to it. Do you know why all of these people are right now on my chat feed? We got 5 people watching me right now, apparently, according to YouTube. And 4 of them are being very negative. But why are they up on my chat feed? Why aren't they somewhere else? Because they're attracted to what I'm saying. And they know there's some validity to it. They just don't know how to respond to it. They don't know how to respond to someone being positive about things and showing virtue in things. But it's okay. Because if you stick around my channel long enough, you're going to be happy about it. And you will want to reach a compromise. One beautiful thing about Justice League and Wonder Woman is that both of these movies make a peace between the DC, we're just talking comic books now, the DC and the Marvel Cinematic Universes. I'm not particularly a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as you guys know, but I did enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy this year, and Spider-Man was okay. I'm not a particular fan of it. You see, I'm a very honest person. It has nothing to do with me particularly saying that these movies are crap or anything like that. It's just I'm not a fan of those universes. I'm not a fan of the MCU, right? But it doesn't mean that I am not happy. Let me give you guys if you've looked at any of my videos, my past videos, you will notice that my videos talk about a unity between the MCU and the DCEU. I think that's coming down the road. It's not coming down immediately, but it's coming down the pipe. I like that idea. We talked on YouTube about crossover comics and all of that stuff. We talked about crossovers not only with the MCU, but crossovers also with other comic book franchises. And there are other comic book franchises out there, right? Transformers is part of one of the comic book franchises. So I love that idea. And I thought this movie lends itself to something like that happening down the road. And I'm happy about that too. But I want to say something, which is that as much as I said I don't have a tendency, or I don't particularly favor or particularly like the MCU, I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm not. I told people this over and over again. It doesn't mean that I'm going to bash the MCU because I'm not particularly a fan of it. No. Doesn't mean anything. It just means I'm not a fan of it. But when it comes to the DCEU, I am a fan of that. I love what they're doing with it. I love the content. It's something that I can actually utilize and share with other people. So that's why I am here with the DCEU. Okay? I love how they are bringing forth their movies with a particular theme and a context to it, and depth and gravity to their films, which I find is nice because you don't get that with comic book films. You don't get that depth. You don't get that kind of gravity with a comic book film. You usually get that with films like Blade Runner, or you get that with sci-fi films, or you get that with normal films. Like I said, you look at films like Stephen King's Shawshank Redemption. You get more that level of storytelling with movies like that. You don't get it with, you don't get it with comic book movies, right? You don't expect that with comic book movies, right? But I love that about these DCEU films, that they approach these things in a different way. David Ayer's Suicide Squad is underrated. Say it again. Now, let me just make it abundantly clear to you guys. I'm not one of those fake, phony kind of people. I'm not. I ain't phony. So I was one of the first people to talk about Man of Steel and how good it was. I was one of the first people to talk about Batman v Superman, how good it was. I was one of the first people to talk about Suicide Squad. That's solid. I was one of the first people to talk about Wonder Woman, how good it was. And I am one of the first people again to talk about Justice League and how good it was. And again, all you have to do is look at the facts. You look at all the people that viewed the movie and the audience, and they thought it was a good movie because the majority of people like it. So it's just that, like I said before, I don't even have to go into this in much detail. I am one of those people who's a front runner. I take the brunt of the blows. I take the insults. I take the hate. I'm a front runner. I'm one of those people who I'm in the front lines of the war. I've been here before. The haters want to hate. Yeah, so what? I've been seeing haters since day one. Zack Snyder know about this. This ain't nothing new to him. He's seen the haters from day one. He knows what it is. And Now people talking about Man of Steel's a masterpiece and stuff. You ain't telling me nothing. I knew that. Solid movie. You know what I'm saying? People talking about Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Cut's a masterpiece. Theatrical cut solid too. You ain't telling me nothing. When people say, well, you know, Wonder Woman was a great movie, it was one of the greatest movies of the world, you ain't telling me nothing. I watched it. You ain't telling me nothing new. So it's like, when I say now Justice League is a good movie, of course you're gonna have, when it's making its box office, as soon as the box office run is done, they're gonna talk about how it was good and everything. I know how people work out here. I even hear people, even to this day, John Campion say, oh, it's not going to be a cult classic. BVS is not going to be a cult classic. It's not that great a movie. It's a bad movie, etc. I listen to all these people, but I'm telling you something. I told you about the scripture. I say they come and they're going to go. They're going to disappear. And when they're gone, this movie will still be there in the archives. And people are going to pick it up, look at it, and enjoy it. And when they read up on it, they're going to say, what? The people of the day, they said it was a bad movie? It's what it is. Because values, characteristics, those are the things that live on forever. See what I'm saying? So, like I said, this topic is we're gonna go a little bit further into these characters. You know, when people want to play partisan games with entertainment, your boy don't have time for that. Your boy don't have time for that. Your boy want to look at and appreciate what is there in front of him, because we're serious about life. We ain't jokers. We ain't playing games. So you can tell when some people, man, you can tell when some people, they come on my channel here. So we got 4 people on this channel and another guy trying to be Peacemaker, Vega Thorn. 4 people on my channel and they still bubbling. They still bubbling on my channel. I'm laughing at these guys. I haven't actually been paying them mind. They've been bubbling on this channel. It's funny. Because apparently I attract the haters. 4 haters on my channel, non-stop. You do know, haters, that all of you saying in the chat section, nobody's going to see it, right? Nobody cares. That's sad. That's sad. Look at it. Anyway, I got to deal with more people who actually have to deal with real life situations. That's why I'm actually putting this channel up here. So, as I was saying about Justice League, in real life, which these guys are pretty much confirming what I'm saying every step of the way. In real life, when you try to be hopeful or you're being hopeful, you're challenged about it and you're made into a villain by people who don't have hope. And all they can talk is hopelessness, fear, and hatred. And it's amazing because they're the most vocal. When you look at BVS, the most vocal people were the people who were talking against Superman. They said, burn him. And they said, no hope, no hope, no hope. They were the ones defacing the statues of Superman. They were the ones being vocal when he landed in the Hall of Justice. If you look at when Batman, Bruce Wayne, was trying to revive Superman, the most vocal people were not the people who were supporting Bruce Wayne What was the people against it? Aquaman, Wonder Woman. And Bruce confronted Wonder Woman. He said, for all your hopefulness, I ain't never heard about you. So how you could be telling me give this idea up, but you ain't get over Steve Trevor? She couldn't answer. And my point being this: a lot of times you got to ask yourself this question, people. Are you going to try to be a beacon of hope for somebody today? Or are you going to try to snuff out someone's hope today? Which are you going to try to do? A lot of people use the guise of being realistic to try and snuff out other people's hopes because they don't have no hope. Because they lost their hope a while ago. And they feel by working real hard and working up a storm. And I'm telling you right now, we got one of them left. One of them quit. Oh my God. We got 4 people right now. The majority of people right now. The other guy, he's left already. The majority of people right now discussing in my chat, they've given up hope. They're hopeless. And if you see these guys go, they've been going nonstop. Even the guys who support Justice League don't go as long as these guys. Because they can't understand how a homie like myself could be happy and be discussing these films. They can't understand it. How could this guy have hope? And they're trying to convince everybody, if they can, on my chat section, not to have hope, not to be empowered for the future, not to go out there and make a difference and brighten someone's day. Isn't that amazing? That's what hopelessness will do to someone. That's what bitterness will do to someone. But they did confess. I saw one of them say, I'm bitter, and our Justice League didn't do well at the box office. He said that. He's disappointed. And it's okay. It's okay to feel emotion. It means you're alive. But see, you have a choice. Every human being in Wonder Woman has a choice to pick the darkness or to pick the light. And the thing about it is, when you start going down that bottomless pit, it's hard to come back out. If you pick the darkness, oh, it's hard to come out of that. All you say is dark things, and you just continue down that dark path. Trust me, I've been down that road a couple times. But if you pick the light, the light shines and invigorates you and gives you energy. Give you a reason to move around because you focus on positive things, good things. Gives you more of a reason to move forward. Invigorates you, strengthens you. Because see, hope is a thing very powerful. Hope is a thing that keeps you running in spite of. Hear me again. Hope keeps you running in spite of. So I know what it is because I'm a human being just like everybody else. Both the people who are on this channel just now going on a rant about how bad the movie is. Trust me, guys. Been down that road. Been down that road. But you have to stop yourself. Check yourself and say, hey, man, this is not doing me any good. I learned that the hard way. relationship wise. I started thinking every nasty thought I could about a person who did so much good for me. But I ignored all the good they did, and I started meditating on the bad things they did. I'm just saying. It applies to every aspect of life, folks. Not just, hey, I'm guilty of it too. So, hey, if you hating on a movie, it's okay, because I hated on people. How many of you have hated on people? Are you willing to say, I hated somebody? I really hated on them, man. I don't know why, man, but I just couldn't think nothing positive about the person. I'll give you an example of a person that you hate on all the time. Donald Trump. Yeah, now some people are going to be all up. Oh, my God. No, you can't be saying that now. No, don't be saying that now. Y'all be hating on the dude, and y'all know y'all be hating on the dude. I'm not saying you don't have a reason to hate on him, but you don't spend the whole day talking about Donald Trump and all the hate about. Come on, man. Find one good thing this dude has done. Find one good thing Donald Trump has done. I want you to name one good thing. Otherwise, you go down a bottomless pit. You got to think. What are you going to consume your mind with for the next couple of hours? Something that you love or something that you hate? Are you going to invest all your energy and your time into something that you love or something? Because you're going to spend the rest of your life doing this. Because you're developing a habit. That is why the DCU focus is not on an enemy to destroy. They focus on things or ideals to build. It's not about destroying the big baddie. It's about instilling hope and preserving lives and helping people to be better. That's why Steppenwolf didn't need to be the Joker in The Dark Knight. It wasn't about focusing on Steppenwolf. It was about focusing on the Justice League. That's why in Suicide Squad, it won't focus on Enchantress. She was just a piece of the movie. They will focus on the Suicide Squad. Got it? People want to have a villain that they could love, like Heath Ledger's Joker, like Darth Vader. Everybody loves Darth Vader. But it's not about reveling in the villain. We have become a society where we revel in evil. Why can't we revel in good? Superman is boring? Really? Superman's boring because he's a Cub Scout. He's good. He doesn't have any flaws. Why does someone who doesn't have any flaws become boring? Why is it that someone who has good ideals to press to us, suddenly they're boring? Because we've become a negative society. Everything we see is negative. Think about what I'm saying. Because I'm not a sheep. I don't just move with the herd. I think for myself. So when Superman becomes the epitome of hope in Justice League, when Wonder Woman was the epitome of inspiration to those soldiers moving across the battlefield, because she was not going to harm the Germans, she wasn't worried about winning some damn war. She was thinking of saving lives. When Wonder Woman was doing that, you felt hope. And so I couldn't help but feel a little corny and a little happy when Superman showed up at a moment when he was most needed. And even when I heard bum, ba-dum, which is from Superman 1978, I couldn't help but have a jump in my heart. Corny as hell. As they say, it was cheesy as hell. but it meant something. I would have loved to hear Hans Zimmer's theme. Bum, da, 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 dum, da, 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 dum, 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 dum. I would have loved to hear that. At that moment, the Superman build-up theme, and you hear it, bum, da, 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 dum, da, da, dum. I would have loved to hear that. But honestly, I didn't miss it. I didn't miss it. Because to me, it was about hope. And it felt like the embodiment of hope when Superman said, I believe in justice. I'm sorry. I believe in truth, but I'm a big fan of justice. Corny as hell lines. I'm not going to lie to you. Cheesier than the cheesiest pizza. But it meant something to me. Get what I'm saying, guys? Hey, I'm going to tell you guys another thing that's really cool. GXF Andre, what would you think if they released an extended cut of JL? What would I think? I'd be happy. I want an extended cut of JL. Not just an extended cut. I would love to see Zack Snyder come back and Junkie XL and finish it off. I would love that GXF Andre. Of course, I would love to see what he would do when he finish off the project. I know essentially it'd be the same thing, except you have different music and be a little longer. I'd love to see it. Some scenes would be more extended. You understand what I'm saying? It'd be more elaborate. Love Zack Snyder, man. You got to understand, I love the dude. I'm not a Zack Snyder hater. Okay? So I'd love to see that. How you mean it goes without saying, man. Come on. I'd love to see that. I don't think we get it. Not now. Not at this point in time. Not with that box office. But I'd love to see it, of course. Megathon, I have hope. I love this channel and understand completely that this movie and this series change you for the better. I'm not a hater. I do not start fires. I put them out. I wish you the best. Yeah, man. Hey, man. It's all love, Vegathon. Listen, man. You got to understand, man. I get that we have to be realistic about things. But again, hope is not a thing which is about disregarding the reality around us. I'm not saying no. We know what the box office of this movie is. It's not a box office success. It ain't a failure, but it ain't a success. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's not a box office failure. Is it a box office flop? It depends on how you look at a flop. Flop, for instance, can be they were expecting it to do this and it didn't do that. It would be a flop for sure. Is it a box office failure? No, it's not a box office failure. It made its money and it made a little bit of change so far. Not much, but it made something, right? That's not what Warner Brothers was shooting for. So that's why somebody can say, oh yeah, it was a box office flop in that respect. But in terms of box office, no, it's not a flop in that they actually made back their money. They haven't lost money. You know what I'm saying? That's basically. I'm sorry people are making you upset. Just know I'm not one of those people. I did not start this fight. Who are you talking to, me? Who's this? Me? I'm not upset. I'm not upset at all. Who's? You're probably talking to one of those other guys. I don't know who you're talking about. I'm not upset. So yeah, I'm talking about just hope and what the DCU stands for and what they bring to the table. I'm not upset in any way, shape, or form, man. You should realize that by now. I'm just one of those people who just talking about the reality that when you have hope, and this is the point. I'm making the point over and over again because you're seeing it. You see the people in this comment section. There's 6 people watching this thing. So see, more people are watching. I don't even know why, but I'm just talking here, folks. You know, I wish I could bring some of you guys on to have your own opinions and views. Just jump in a hangout and just talk with me, because I would love to hear all your different points of views on things. And I'd actually just sit back, listen to you all guys talk, and then I put in my 2 cents. I'm just talking here. And you got to understand, I'm not mad at anybody. I mean, it is what it is. You're going to have people who hate on a movie, and you're going to have people who like on a movie that I'm talking about here, because you got to understand the people who are bubbling. I see some people bubbling in the chat section. They just going and go, woo, woo. Hey, let me get to the heart of this, because maybe I'll find out what's up with 4,000. He just going on and on. I don't know what he's talking about though. Let's see. 4,000 says, because it's hard to make a story with someone so perfect. So Snyder tried to change it, and so-called fans hated it. I disagree with. By killing Germans and winning a war, you didn't miss it because you don't stand for anything. If you had some backbone, you would have stood for the consistency of what they tried to build. According to you, they can give you anything and you will just switch to whatever new inconsistent thing they transition to. It's a descending flop. Technically, the next movie will do less money. It's the studio's fault for not believing in their own brand. That's 4,000, who's got an icon of a walrus. But I'm not even understand. I don't even understand what he just said, to be honest with you. Trying to understand. He's probably responding to me in different sections. So he was saying, for instance, Superman, he was saying that Superman is not perfect, right? And that Zack Snyder, let me engage these guys for a minute, because they're there and I need to engage them. Because, I mean, if you guys are going to come through on my channel, man, at least let me give you a voice. So they're saying, he's saying that it seems as though Superman couldn't be perfect. So Snyder tried to change it, and the so-called fans hated it. That I disagreed with. I'm not too sure. You're probably saying let me see if I understand you, 4,000. You're saying that Zack Snyder tried to make an imperfect Superman to relate with people, and some of the Superman fans didn't like it, but you disagreed with that. You wanted him to be, you thought that made sense. So you probably liked Man of Steel, or at least up to a certain point, right? So maybe that's your point. Let me see. You just responded down here. Superman was too perfect. Strength and morality. Fans of Superman thought it was boring, so he did his take. Snyder said this. Okay. I really liked Man of Steel. Okay. Cool. All right. Let me explain to you guys Superman, how I see it. Okay, let's have a discussion on Man of Steel, since you're talking, man. It's good to talk with you about this. See, I don't think Superman was imperfect, right? I didn't Fort 1000. I didn't think Superman was imperfect. Just like how Wonder Woman says that Wonder Woman was imperfect, I didn't think of them as imperfect. Let me explain what I mean. So Superman's ideals are the same. His ideals and what he represents is the same. The difference was Superman that we saw in Man of Steel and in BVS was not, he was growing. He was growing. See? Superman was growing. So it wasn't that he wasn't perfect, because his ideas and his aspirations, how he was raised, were what Perry White was mocking. You see? And the thing about Superman was he was growing. In my opinion, Superman was perfect, but he was set in an imperfect world. He was set in a world like ours. It wasn't set in 1978. He wasn't set in the Donner world, where people were naive and accepting of everything. So you take Superman from 1978, and you carry him into this world. This is what he would have to deal with, and this is how he'd respond. So that was my opinion of Superman 1000, right? I thought he was perfect. I thought he was idealistic. I thought he represented but the situations that challenged his ideals, that challenged his hopefulness, that challenged who he was. Because Okay, if Superman wasn't perfect, then he would do something vile. He would do something evil, you know. But if you look at everything, every act that Superman has done for humanity that did not embrace him, you would notice that he was challenged, but yet he made the right decision. There was a point in time where Superman, again, he lost hope for a minute because he was doing all these things which he thought was right, which were right, but yet he was getting worse and worse results. I mean, you go and save the world, and because of that, people hate you and they call you not a hero. Then you go and you save somebody in another country, they say you violate international law, and then you go now and you save some people, and the next thing I'm hearing that you killed and assassinated these people. You know, it just kept on going worse and worse. You went to the Senate hearings, the right thing to do, to be accountable, to talk about his unilateral behavior and his unilateral stuff, and the Senate blows up, and he doesn't even know why. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if things continuously get worse and worse, the more you help, you're going to lose track of hope. You see what I'm saying? And that's what happened with Superman. And it's amazing because it teaches us what hope is. That's why I said I can't emphasize how much you guys should go back and watch the entire trilogy, because I have, of from Man of Steel all the way down to Justice League, because it's just so much Zack Snyder been telling us in the stories. Right now, Zack Snyder is challenged to be hopeful because his daughter died. Your daughter, his daughter just died, man. All right, and it's a daughter that kind of took to him. She was very creative and stuff, and you know, man, you got to understand, man. He challenged all kind of how right now. Okay, so I mean, it's just one of those amazing things where again, I'm glad you talk about Man of Steel. For me personally, as a person, again, Man of Steel was a wonderful movie. I went and saw that movie 6 times in the cinema. I loved that movie. From the first time I saw it, I couldn't get enough of it. I went and saw it in IMAX 3 times, and then I went and saw it in cinema 3 more times. Look, man, Man of Steel, to me, was about Superman. It wasn't. It's not that I hate. I didn't really. It's like you. Superman didn't really appeal to me. But you got to understand why he didn't appeal to me, because we live in an age that's different to 1978, an age that's different to 1982, 1983, 1984, when Superman was around. We live in a much more cynical, narcissistic age where people are skeptical about a lot of things. And that's why when Zack Snyder put Superman in our world, he didn't put Superman in an artificial, he put Superman in our world. I could easily relate to that because I went through some of those situations as well in my life. I'm still going through it right now, you know? So yeah, previous incarnation. I know he's very powerful in all of these things, but we actually saw him as powerful and everything in Justice League. We finally got to that point where he grew into that Superman. And again, I love that Zack Snyder says it's a journey to get there. He wasn't just born that way. You know what I'm saying? It's a journey to get there. And even how the world finally kind of gets on Superman's side, it's a journey for the world to get to that point. It's kind of like Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. It's a journey to get to be Batman. I don't necessarily agree with everything that Christopher Nolan was painting about Batman, but I did like and appreciate that he filled in that gap, how Batman got to be Batman. I thought that was beautiful. And again, David Goya's baby, Man of Steel, him and Christopher Nolan said, well, let's carry this journey of Superman into, let's tell the story about how Superman got to be the Superman we know today. And I thought it was just beautiful. I really do. And again, I believe now that we see who Superman is today and understand his baptism, what it took for him to get to be as he is, there's nothing wrong with being perfect. And that's the thing about it. We all strive towards perfection of some kind. And there's nothing wrong with that. And perfection is a continuous moving thing, right? That's all I'm saying. Fort 1000. Talking about the previous incarnation, those depicted him as perfect. I hear you, man. I hear you. I understand where you're coming from, man. Right. He wants to be the real Superman, but a realistic society won't let him be. Exactly. Exactly. You got it, man. Steve Dog, I like your channel, but it's incorrect to say it's broken even. Broken. Sea Dog, talk to me. I'm not quite understanding what you're saying. You like my channel, but it's incorrect to say it's broken even. Broken, what is broken? What is broken? Just to be clear, I was talking about the history of Superman before Snyder. People thought the character was too strong, too good to making him. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because society became more skeptical of things because people got more knowledge of things, and they realized that the real world, they thought that the real world don't work like that. Like Superman's he's too detached from the real world. That's why they said he wasn't relatable. You understand what I'm saying? Fort 1000. But truth be told, the real world can be like that. This is what Patty Jenkins was saying. Yeah, it sounds cheesy and stuff, but we need to also believe in the sincerity of something. And that's why with Wonder Woman, it challenges the fact that we actually admire these attributes. We admire what Superman represents. We admire what Wonder Woman represents. And she was unapologetic in putting out the so-called cheesiness of Wonder Woman out there, so people would see, no, it's okay to be this way. And even though Gal Gadot said that, you know, Wonder was not a perfect character and that she has feelings, she has fears and all these things, I don't consider that imperfection. I don't consider having emotion. Jesus Christ, who we call perfect, right? He's called the gold standard of perfection for Christians, right? He experienced fear. He experienced sadness. He experienced disappearing hope. Hope faded for him for a minute. He said, if it was possible, oh my Father, let this cup pass from me, right? I'm just saying, right? So, no, he's a human. He's going to feel stuff. You know what I'm saying? But Superman been living among humanity. He going to feel stuff. You know, Wonder Woman, she's living around humanity. She going to feel stuff when she's challenged. You know what I'm saying? And that's relatable. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even when you go back to Richard Donner's Superman, when the kryptonite is on top of him, isn't he not vulnerable? Is he not begging Lex Luthor's girlfriend to take the kryptonite stuff off of him? He's begging, he's pleading as he's drowning. Okay, so no, Superman can be vulnerable. Yes, Superman, you know, with all of his perfect ideals, and they call him the Blue Boy Scout and all of that, but he has feelings. He's fallible at certain points. He's vulnerable at certain points. It's not like he's not vulnerable, but I think people think that being vulnerable in these things doesn't mean you're perfect. But no, perfection has to do with the purity of what's inside of you. You know what I mean? And what your capabilities are. You know, and Superman's very capable of a lot of things. You know, so I'm just saying. But I love the growth that Zack Snyder and David Goyer and Zack Snyder brought about under the tutelage first of Christopher Nolan's advice to bring Zack Snyder into it, because Christopher Nolan noticed that Zack Snyder was really good at doing comic books and stuff. And then from there, they carried it on. BVS. I love Justice League because it finishes that chapter. Of course, I would have loved Zack Snyder to do the whole thing to completion with Joss Whedon kind of helping him with the dynamics, but it didn't work out that way. And that's okay. That's life. That's telling the story of BVS. Things didn't work out perfectly. Superman died at the end of the movie, right? It didn't work out well. It wasn't a happy ending. Everybody was going home like, hey! And comic book movies don't have to be that way. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, okay, Joss Whedon had to finish off the project. So register that in your mind. It ain't going to be exactly like what it was supposed to end up being, and it's okay. Once they didn't treat the characters as if they were jokes, I was worried that this movie would turn out to be Thor Ragnarok Part 2. And for a DC film, that's disaster. That's like Batman and Robin. it would flop, all right? It would flop off the bat. So my fears were that, but apparently, even though I thought it was okay, apparently other DCEU people, they went to town on this thing. Like if it was a Marvel film or something, it wasn't. And I dare anybody, go watch the film again. Go watch it again. Forget about Whedon. Forget about Snyder. Go watch the film again. It's a Snyder film, in my opinion. That's how I see it. I've seen it that way because I keep on seeing the same story, the same attributes. That Superman's now on this journey. He's finishing this journey off. I see Wonder Woman, her journey's finishing up. I see Batman tying up the loose ends to his journey, right? So I was cool with this movie straight through because, yeah, okay, he had Danny Elfman doing something a little bit different to what uh, Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL would do. Right? Here's what it is. It's different. Right? So music has a big impact on movies and give a movie a different feel. But I didn't think they strayed away too much from the Justice League feel, which would be Justice League Unlimited, Justice League 2001. It didn't. And so I was cool with it. I didn't really like the trumpets and horns, but hey, whatever, man. Let's let it rip. Okay, I got it. And I got used to that. I adjusted my expectations to what the story was telling me so that I could take in the story. I was not going to be distracted by those things. And the more I watched the film, the more I loved and appreciated this sort of melting pot merger between DC and Marvel. And you're going to be like, Marvel, man? You're going to be like, I'm saying, yes, Marvel. Because to me, in short, what it does is it facilitates this crossover between DC and Marvel down the road. Aquaman is going to be a movie that has levity in it. It's going to be swashbuckling adventure. That's what James Wan said. Now, if people are going in thinking it's going to be just dark, you know, creepy, gothic, horrific, because James Wan did horror films, horrific kind of film. And first of all, for those people thinking that's going to see sparkling colors underneath the sea and somehow it's going to emulate underwater place. So the people who were saying that in the Justice League movie, the Aquaman footage looked boring, they crazy, man, because that was just like underwater. It's like you feel like you're really under the sea. You're underwater. I mean, you can't get it more than that. I mean, you're not going to be bright and fuzzy and glowing lights, and it's not going to be that. It's underwater. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know how else to say it, man. I really feel the studio used I really feel the studio used the daughter's death as an excuse, conjecture, but happened 3 months before we heard about it. And when Snyder left, they got Whedon rewrote the script, scenes of the script. No, man. Dude's daughter died. Snyder was trying to hang in there and drown himself in the work. He really was trying to do that. Look what did you watch Snyder's film Snow, Steam, and Iron? Go watch that. It's interesting, very interesting. It expresses his frustration. It expresses his feelings on the death of his daughter. It expresses a lot of things. It's beautiful visual imagery. There's no, if you wanted the link to it, let me get the link to it for you. Yeah, you need to really watch that because I would like to hear what your feedback on that movie is. Let me give you the link right here. All right. I'm gonna pop that link in because that says volumes about where Zack Snyder is right now, mentally and otherwise. All right, that'll give you an idea of what's happening. Yeah, they did fire Junkie XL. Didn't like that, but it is what it is. I understand. Joss Whedon needed somebody he could work with. You remember, a composer goes hand in hand with the director, and Junkie had some wonderful shit coming up in the pipe, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Junkie had some beautiful stuff. I wanted to, oh my gosh, love Junkie XL, but it is what it is. I mean, that I know that was hard for Junkie. And he just moved on. You know what I'm saying? He just moved on. But that's some, I mean, that was a crappy situation. But Zack Snyder left, so Whedon was going to work with Elfman. That's his writing buddy, and that's what happened. Nothing he could do about that. Would the soundtrack have been better? Absolutely. It would have been better than what Elfman put out because Junkie has been spending years doing that soundtrack, man. Years. So yeah, it was gonna be. But would it have been a movie which necessarily would have appealed to people more outside of? Think about it this way. Whedon's joke about brunch, that brunch joke. When I was in the cinema, everybody laughed at the brunch girl. Okay, let me tell you the jokes that really landed. Stop right there. I'm in. That joke, every time it plays in the cinema, people laugh. Okay, when he started doing the brunch joke, and he was like, and he seemed so much like Zack Snyder. Like that's how Zack Snyder behaves. He was like, I mean, he's not finishing a single sentence, right? It was funny. People laughed at that. For reasons unknown to me, they just laughed at it. When he did the drawing on the guy's face, which I thought was Whedon. I thought Whedon did that speed drawing on the guy's face. And then the guy who interviewed him and said you look brainy and stuff. I think that's all Whedon, right? It lands every single time. It lands every single time. All right. Even the joke I'm not really particularly happy about, the one where the Flash, he pushes Wonder Woman, trips over her, and he falls headlong into her bosom, and then he jumps off and he looks away, right? That joke lands every time in the cinema. Every time. Every time. Women, men, everybody laughs at it. Okay? And it's not particularly my kind of, I'm kind of politically correct. Sometimes I can be an idiot, but it's not my kind of thing, even though in the comics, as William Adams emphasized, Wonder Woman, Captain Atom was actually in Wonder Woman's bosom. He's literally sitting in their bosom in a certain comic. So you really can't talk about that. Like, it could be done, right? But just for me, I didn't like it, but it didn't matter because the cinema kept on laughing about it. Like, Whedon has this way where when it comes to relational dynamics, he's really good at that. He's really good at having characters play off of one another. It's just what it is. If you ever watched the movie Speed, Whedon did the majority of the script for Speed, okay? That is a fantastic movie. Even now. It's with what's his name? Keanu Reeves. He's in Speed, man. That's a good ass movie, man. All right, that's a good ass movie. Joss Whedon did that. He's very good when it comes to dynamics between characters. I wouldn't be surprised. He also reshot aspects of when they went down in the Batcave and Bruce was talking to Diana. I wouldn't be surprised he reshot some of those scenes. Not all of it, just pieces of it. But some scenes are just really corny. I didn't like them. But other scenes where he did some reshoots, spot on, man. He caught what Zach was doing, and he then took it. He took it a little bit further with his Whedon way. And when I say Whedon, he's not funny. He's not being funny. He just got that chemistry. Got the chemistry between the characters as well. And most people will say the thing that really worked in this film was the chemistry between the characters. And in spots, it was Whedon was tying it up and making it make sense. See, that's the thing, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm feeling like the Flash right now. I'm like, I don't know. It's like Whedon's not a dude who only does comedy. And yeah, he likes to do comedy, but he doesn't only do comedy. And people saying he messed up Zach's stuff. I get why they're saying that, because Zach shot certain scenes and they'll be like, man, look at Henry Cavill's face, man. Dude trashed it. Look at he trashed Superman's face. I get what they mean. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, I don't believe that he trashed Snyder's film. And I don't think he moved outside of the storyboard. Every film has a storyboard. You understand? So he didn't move outside of the storyboard and decide, oh, we're going to do an alternate ending then. No, I don't think so. I think he followed the ending. He just cut out certain action sequences. I think it's mostly action sequences that cut out of this movie. So if you really, really, really like the action in this movie, then you would want more action. You'd be like, man, God damn, he cut out all the action, man. We didn't cut out the action. That's I think that's basically what you would be angry about. It is an action flick, so but other than that, I mean, it gets a little bit interesting, but I mean, I just don't think that Whedon did that much that people are crediting him with. This is my personal opinion. We are in full agreement with Man of Steel, 4th 1000. But apparently you're a DCU fan. I just realized that. I mean, look, man, you don't understand. I'm a dude who I'm not going to watch a movie if it's just full of crap. I don't like jokes. How much do you guys understand that? Like, if it's just a movie where it's just, I'm not into that. Look at my channel. Look what I'm talking about. We're talking about stuff that actually is relatable to us. If it's funny, fine. But that's not the foundation from which I'm not the guy who just laughs. I don't do that. I used to once upon a time, but then I went through some hard times in life and I realized how much you can hurt other people and stuff like that. And life isn't that funny. You can't be laughing at people and all that stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. So for me, it's more about values and stuff. I do laugh. Don't get it wrong. I'm a guy that laughs at times. You see me laughing here in this video. But at the end of the day, life's more than that. Anyway, the New Year's ushering in. Let's hear what Fort 1000 has to say. We in full agreement, man. C-Dog, you earlier said the film has broken even. Justice League has not. C-Dog, it cost $300 million without advertising. Yep. And films generally get 55% of the gross. Yes, that's why, C-Dog. That is why you have to make double. That's why I think there was an article posted by what are they name? I forgot what their name is. One of those websites that said that Justice League need to make $600 million to break even. What is it called? Not comicbookmovie.com. It's the other one. It begins with an S. Screen Rant. Screen Rant posted what it needed to break even. So it's broken even. Broken even. But see, dog, that's not the point. A movie where you have a superhero team up, right? Like that is not supposed to just break even. That's the point. That's the point. So, of course it's broken even. That doesn't mean anything, though. It doesn't mean much. So let's assume studio has taken, it doesn't matter. Like I said, C-Dog, all of that stuff doesn't mean anything. What matters is that it breaks, that you don't go into making a film for it to break even. You don't do that. Especially a film where it's a Justice League. You just don't do that. Fort 1000. Richard Donner's Superman cheats. He locks himself in the cave of solitude. They play a montage and then he comes out. He's perfect Superman. Hey, man. Look. It's a movie. Like, let me put it to you this way, right? Richard Donner's Superman happened in a time when people were not like they are today. Okay, it was a different time. So Richard Donner was focused on different things. And this is the very first superhero movie that came out, Fort 1000. All these things you have to put in perspective, right? Nobody had ever seen a superhero movie on the big screen in live action ever before. So what Richard Donner did, and it was, do you believe a man can fly? Blow people's minds with the fact that we're seeing a man flying. On top of that, he tried to tell some of the story, the background of Superman and so on. This is in 1978, Fort 1000. So he had to, in order to make the story something you can identify with, he had to use what we call the magic of film, which is he taps into your emotions, okay? And then on top of that, Richard Donner did a brilliant job of making likable characters. Even Lex Luthor, you would like him for his brilliance, even though he's wicked and he's evil. You see him killing people in the movie, okay? But he's brilliant. And there are certain moments, certain character chemistry moments, which are just hilarious because they really are true. If you got a brainy guy and he's around these doofuses, and the doofuses, when he says, any questions? The doofuses, they start going down the road of some really ridiculous stuff. And you see the guy, you can see he's frustrated. If you've ever been one of those brainy people and you're around doofuses, you know what that feeling feels like. It's relatable. And that's the thing about Richard Donner's movies. So there are these moments in them. Even when you look back at it and you're in a narcissistic world like we are in today, and you can still appreciate those moments and appreciate what makes the magic of Superman 1978. It was in 1978. It's not in, it's like Perry White says, this ain't 1938. Dimes don't cost a nickel and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Not in here, not out there. Well, it's the same thing. So you look now back at it with a certain degree of skepticism and narcissism. And I get you. But you got to understand that you're a product of your times. So, yes, that's why Zack Snyder's Superman is much more relatable to us. But unfortunately, because he's in the narcissistic time, narcissism was used to tear down the film as well. And if you do remember Fort 1000, when when Man of Steel came out, they were talking about it's a box office flop, and the same things you hear. Same thing with Batman v Superman. It's a box office flop, blah, 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 blah. And now we get the same rhetoric with Justice League. All three are Zack Snyder films. I'm just saying. I just keep on saying the same things over and over. Now here we Chappie Lamo Shill. Doesn't Justice League like 1.2 billion to break even? No, it doesn't need that. But it would have been nice if it could have made that, because if it made that, then it would be a box office success. As it is, it's not. Okay. Theaters take 50% of the total growth. It's not that they take anything. It's like this. The distribution companies sell the license to these theaters to play the movie for such and such amount of time. So they get paid up front. Okay. And then the movie theaters, what you see in ticket sales, which is what the box office is what they have actually made off of the movie. So the distributor sells the rights of the movie to them for a certain period of time, and then they sell off the thing in terms of tickets, and they make a little profit off it. That's how it works. Sea-Dog, I had a 8:30 chap. I heard that studio heads had projected about 1.2 billion. Really? Where do you get that information from? Send the link. I don't know about that stuff. Anyway, they're talking about box office and that kind of stuff, and that's all well good. I don't know. All I'm saying to you guys, see, you guys want to talk about box office and all those things, and that's all well and good. I mean, that's cool, but I like to talk about the actual movie and what it actually said, because that's something that's not covered that much. Only with Wonder Woman, we actually had some of that happening, and then we had some crazy people who had some crazy notions about Wonder Woman, came out and said some crazy stuff. And so that then overshadowed all the good stuff that we were talking about. A lot of times when directors make a movie, they don't want you to talk about all these other stuff. They want you to talk about the movie itself, what it actually was saying, the statements they were trying to make in their movie. That's the important thing about movies. You know, once upon a time, it used to be like that. I remember back in the day, 1983. Yeah, I'm old. When Star Wars, The Last Jedi, not The Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi came out, people were talking about the movie. They were actually talking about the Return of the Jedi. You know, it was cool. Nowadays, when a movie comes out, people don't talk about what is in the movie. They talk about if it's a good movie or a bad movie or blah, blah. They don't talk about the substance of the movie. They don't. And to me, that's just a travesty. What does that mean? What is entertainment about anymore? You know, I don't understand that. It used to be about what was in the movie. Now it's about everything else but what is in the movie, which makes no sense to me. Like, all of this stuff is the stuff that I don't get. I don't understand this age of people where they're preoccupied. And you know what the first thing somebody talks about? Like my brother, he said, you know, I asked him if he enjoyed the movie. The first thing he's going to talk about is, man, Superman CGI lip. Did you hear about Superman? I'm like, wait a minute. You're dying to tell me about Justice League, and the first thing that's going to come out, you know, the Superman CGI lip? Really? Like, really? Like, what else? What did you enjoy in the movie? You can talk about that later, but I mean, come on. I don't understand people, man. It's like people tend, the first thing that comes to their mouth is something negative. And I'm saying to you guys in this group here who are talking to me and we're having a conversation, is that we don't have to start off like that. Especially if there's an abundance of positive things to say that are out there, but are not getting the airtime. They're not getting the light of day. All right. I'm gonna dare each one of you in this chat section. Give me something positive about Donald Trump. And believe you me, there's a lot of positive things to say about the guy. Believe it or not. Give me one positive thing about Donald Trump that you guys can say. All right. I'm going there because it's like, for some reason, people buy into stereotypes that this thing is bad or this thing is like absolutes. And it's interesting. BBS talks about that, about absolutes. And it's just interesting that people pick sides on the divide and they're not willing to really see the thing for what it is. You see what I'm saying? You need to see something for what it is. Chappie A. Lamont Shield said, just because society is more cynical doesn't mean they have no use for a bit of an old-fashioned. We literally validated Donner's Superman for a time. I think you missed that. No, I didn't. In fact, Zack Snyder validated Dawn of Superman for a time. That's what he actually did, because he's saying, remember, the premise is, what happens if Superman is moved into our narcissistic time? And I'm glad you made that point, Chappie A, because that's actually a good point that I can actually go off of. Because Superman is relevant to our time, hope is relevant to our time. Now more than ever, and this is what Patty Jenkins was saying, people need to have someone who's sincere and honest about giving hope to other people. And we really need that in our time. So it's great that you actually made that point. That's actually a very good point, which is what I was saying all along and stressing on. And it's interesting that you just confirmed what I was trying to explain to Fort 1000. Superman was not a flawed character in Man of Steel. He was not a flawed character in BVS. He was not a flawed character in Justice League. Superman was always what he was. It's the world that saw him a certain way. And in this age, in this era, because people have been burnt so much, because religious leaders have proven to be terrible people, because leaders in general have been, generally speaking, untrustworthy, people have become skeptical, narcissistic. They've become embraced hopelessness because they don't feel their leadership is living up to what they think they should be. And the sincerity of people and the earnestness of hope and these things are dying out in this world, even though they're still there, because we see people in moments of crisis, they band together, they help one another, they try to be helpful. Yeah, there's a lot of positive things, man. Chappie Lamontiel says a positive thing about Trump, he won't live forever. That's a good thing. No, I don't want that. Don't even try. I don't want you to be snide now. I want you to be honest. I want you to be earnest. I want you to be like Richard Donner Superman. I want you to give one positive attribute of Donald Trump. I want you guys to really, come on, we can do, you see, because trust me, man, it makes a big difference when you start to, we're really having real conversations now. I feel like you're real people talking to me. Fort 1000. Chappie Lamontiel. You feel like real people, because for once we're letting go of the facades and we're really talking. And the point is this, right, guys? Because I've been on here for a while. The point is this. When we're able to expose ourselves, come out of the shadows, and really be honest about things, then we can actually have a dialogue. And I'm going to tell you this. One thing I really admire about Donald Trump, and I stick to this and I'm not going to let go. This guy never gives up. I remember when he said he was looking to quit, and then he said his base in the election gave him a reason to go on to win this election. He said, we will win. I love that about the guy. He does not give up. Even when all the chips are backed against him, he does not give up. All right. And that is an admirable attribute about the guy. You got to give him that. You got to give him that. That's how he reached so far. And he may have bent the rules of morality and all of that, but at the end of the day, he's one dude who does not give up. If he's going to do something, he's going to do it. I like that. I really do. And it's an admirable characteristic. And you can say whatever you want about Donald Trump. That's a positive thing about him. And there's a lot of other positive things about him, but I'll let you guys start. Why I want you guys to do that is because I want you to balance out the negative things you're going to say about a person. You know, because they're human beings. There must be something good about them. There's always light in the midst of darkness, no matter who this person may be. You know that some people are really dark. But at the end of the day, we have to look at that too, right? Look, this guy became president of the United States. Donald Trump became president of the United States. That is that's a very difficult thing to do, and he did it. And that, and some people say, you know, okay, this is where he becomes an inspiration to everybody else. They like to say it this way. If he could become president of the United States, and we know he has an impulse control problem. He has a lot of problems, right? He has a lot of problems. This goes without saying. He doesn't want people to say that about him, but it's true. In spite of all his problems, whether psychological or otherwise, this guy has become president of the United States, and it should be an inspiration to anyone. You don't have any disability that can stop you from becoming not only the president of the United States, but whatever you desire in your heart to be. You can be whatever you want to be. There's nothing to stop you, because and I don't mean to make this funny, but if Donald Trump became if he could become the president of the United States, then anyone can become anything they want to become. And that's awesome. You got it right on the positive way. Yeah, there's some, we're not going to deny the negative things about it and the scary stuff in there. But at the end of the day, you got to look at also the positive things. And it should inspire you and me and other people to really push for whatever it is we want to do. All right. And don't give up. All right. Don't give up. Don't give up because it's getting hard or it seems like you can't make your way. Don't give up. I don't know. Where are we? Chappie, I want to get a meaningful conversation with you guys, man, because you guys being here on my channel sponsor me, and I don't know why you guys watching my channel so much, but it's all good. What does he say? Whedon made Coulson say to Cap, with everything that's about to come to light, people might just need a little old-fashioned. Exactly. One of my favorite Marvel characters is Captain America. And the thing I like about Captain America is he's unapologetically old school. Dude be convicted and he just going with his convictions. That's it. He's unapologetic about it. You know, and that's that sincerity that I love about Captain America. He hasn't evolved much as a character, but he been the same throughout every single movie. He's consistent. You know, and that's something you got to like about the character. I just hope they keep on taking him seriously and don't water him down with jokes. I mean, he is the most serious, I think, Justice League member there. And I think they should just keep Cap serious, you know, like keep Cyborg serious, you know, don't have Cyborg be laughing and making jokes and stuff. It's nice when he laughs a little bit, but I like Cyborg as a serious character, you know, that's what I'm just saying. Chappie Lemon Shield says Superman was flawed character because he had no character development, no other emotions but emo, frustration. He says one positive attribute of Trump, there's only one of him. That's not an attribute. That's quantitative. That's not an attribute. Attributes like something in his character. That's what I'm talking about. It's all good though. Yeah, but again, guys, you gotta understand. I like I said, I'm gonna say it again. All right, I'm gonna say it again because you got two. It's interesting. Fourth 1000 and Chappie, you guys are kind of on the different sides of the spectrum. Fourth 1000, he wanted more of a Zack Snyder. He wanted Zack Snyder to finish off the film if he could, and just everything be just like how he's seen the Zack Snyder film before, right? This is different in tone, in terms of music. It's kind of different. It's not really different in tone. It's Zack Snyder's tone, but it's kind of different in terms of music, the musical arrangement, and Joss Whedon touched up here and there, right? So Chappie feels like, man, Whedon did the right thing. You know, Whedon's the dude that deals with dynamics, gives meaning. Fort 1000, he's saying, let me see what he's saying, man, so I can get a vibe, get a feel of you guys. Oh, Fort 1000 says, part thing about Trump, he makes the decisions lesser men whose motives are predicated on ideology supported by feelings are not willing to do. Hey, man, you're right about that. He'll make an unpopular decision and ride with it. And that's actually admirable. You're right. Well said. That's true. He will ride with an unpopular, and he will double down on it too. He doesn't care. He follows. So, in other words, whatever position he takes, he will ride with that position. That's what you're basically saying, which is true. And it's an admirable quality. It is. Not always the wisest one, but it's admirable. You know, he doesn't, I think he's apologized once or twice. Yes. But again, there you go. So you see, what I like about what you guys are doing right now is you choose to make this decision to say something positive about somebody. It's glaring all the negative things about it. So we don't need to say that. Let's deal with the positive. And when we move that way, I'm not saying ignore the negative things. I'm not saying that. I'm a realist. Of course, you see them, you must comment on them, but don't dwell on them. Don't meditate on them. That's a problem we have in society. And people, they sculpt their news media to that. And that's the problem. That's what keeps us from being objective and balanced in our reasoning and thinking. That's all I'm saying. All right, so cool. Chappie, if there were more than one, then we'd really be in trouble. There is more than one Trump man in the world, if you didn't know. But that's another story for another day. I know you didn't, you don't see them because they're not as high profile. But there are a lot of Trumps out here. There are a lot of Donald Trumps out here. People in power, man. Some people in power are like that. They're a little bit more smooth with it, but there's a lot of people like Donald Trump, man. He vocalized what a lot of people believe what he says. It's just what it is. But you know something? That's okay too. Because the truth will come to light in the end. That's all I keep on saying. He fulfills the motives of a boss despite the risk of being hated. Yeah, he doesn't mind being hated. He doesn't mind being hated. Once his base don't hate him. See, there you go. Stephen Colbert, he has made jokes about this very subject. Exactly. And they're true. Trump is a sociopath with a degrading mental faculty. I don't care if he's stubborn. We can do without him. Yeah. I understand what you're saying, brother. But the reality of the situation is he's there. And so as much as you wish for him not to be there, he's there. And the other thing is this. He can help us be better people. He can help us know what to do, take from him, and what not to take from him, and carry that on in our personal lives. I think that Donald Trump is, in a way, as ironic as it is sounding, a blessing to us, because it makes us realize you cannot just be voting out people, or you must know what you want, not what you don't want. See, in the case of Justice League, a lot of people are hating on this film because they're telling you what they don't want. But what they want is not tangible. It's not feasible unless they are able to understand what they actually wanted. You understand what I'm saying? So with me, I went into the film never expecting anything else than what the film was telling me, because I'm very attentive to what a film is telling me. And there's certain things in the film that annoy me. And I mean, there's certain things in that film that annoy me, okay? Because I'm not really a trumpets kind of guy. So when they go, it annoyed me a bit. But I got over it, and I started to look at what the story was telling. And as I kept on, I actually got engrossed in the story. There was a certain point where I wasn't following nothing anymore. I wasn't paying attention to nothing anymore. I was just sucked into the characters. That's amazing, because that means that you're not even paying attention to the music or nothing anymore. You're just into the story. And this is the kind of story that does that. That's important. Trump, in regards to keeping Americans safe. Yeah, he wants to pitch that. I wouldn't say he's keeping Americans safe, but I think Americans are keeping Americans safe. Faithful people, but it's all good. All right, so let's keep it going. You guys can go on forever, man. I've been going for hours. Do you realize that? Anyway, let's see. If there were more than one, we'd really be. He fulfills the motive of the book. I read all that already. Oh man, I've been on this thing too long. Wow. Trump became president through voter suppression. GOP prevented black and brown folk from voting. All right. I'm not going to go there right now. The only inspiration Trump's example provides. Okay, you're not going to say anything positive, are you? And by the way, I'm not a Trump supporter, okay? Just letting you guys know. It's just, I'm trying to keep you thinking that there are always good things to see, and even in a bad situation. I don't need him to make me better. Okay. 41000. Did you feel any of the Justice League action compared to the action from Man of Steel or BVS? Do you feel any of the Justice League action compared to the action from Man of Steel or BVS? Do you feel, what do you mean by that? Because I'm not too sure if you're talking about Justice League action, the cartoon, or if you're talking about Justice League, the action in Justice League compared to the action from Man of Steel or BVS. Great conversation, man. Keep up the good work. I don't fully agree with your Justice League feelings, I felt robbed of an experience, but I respect your stance. Again, I understand where you're coming from. If you had expectations based on the trailers and what was coming from the trailers, and you thought this was going to be what it was, I personally thought that the sneak peek trailer was the direction in which they were going. I thought Elfman and Joss Whedon were actually building up this movie better. And then when I saw the Heroes trailer, I was like, okay. And then I heard when I heard Danny Elfman's score, I was like, this ain't impressing me at all. Like, what the heck is this? But then when I saw a scene with the score in it, it lifted me up a bit. So like I said before, my expectations were, I started to say, I don't know what I'm going to expect going into this movie. I made a video, if you do remember, saying if this movie is crap, I'm gonna let y'all know. Because I was like, I don't know what to expect with this movie. And I went in saying, you know what, man, it's Justice League, whatever, man. I'm just gonna go with whatever it is. Let's see what it is first. So when I went into the cinema, I was one of the first people to see it. I made sure I was one of the first people. It was still a huge line, man. What the hell? Anyway, besides that, I went in and I saw the movie. And I really liked it, but there were certain parts of it that annoyed the crap out of me. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I can't wait till Warner Brothers starts putting out great films now. They are past the Snyder age. I can't wait. You got a thing against Zack Snyder. Like you have something against Trump. I get it. Yeah. Do you feel the actions in Justice League movie compared to any of the action Snyder gave us from the previous movie? Oh, yeah. The action in Justice League movie was lit, and was a lot more action. It was more action than any of the other DCEU movies, all of them actually. But the interesting thing about it is this: it actually has more action than that. The movie had more action than that, and you could tell from the trailers, the stuff cut out of the movie, there was more action pieces. So man, shit, that would have been, it'd have been lit even more. None of it had any gravitas to me. Batman had no where else seen fight in Justice League. Superman had no fight similar to the Smallville fight in Man of Steel. No, of course not. This different, man. It's a totally different enemy. It's all three movies have been different. You know, Batman ain't fighting no humans no more. He fighting parademons. And that's all Batman be fighting. He's not fighting Steppenwolf. He can't take on Steppenwolf. So the scene there wasn't a lot of action with Batman fighting anybody, really. It was sick in the beginning when he grabbed the parademon that was flying at him and slammed it into the wall. That was sick. But the parademon was big and strong. And these parademons weren't just chump. They weren't just fodder. They weren't like, fodder. They weren't. You had to fight them. And guys like the Flash, he could run through them, but Batman couldn't run through them. You know what I mean? So you would see Batman, like when Cyborg was dealing with the mother boxes, you saw that the Flash was trying to keep the parademons at bay. Batman was taking on a parademon or two and keeping them at bay. You know what I mean? But, Batman was shooting down. He took a gun from a parademon. He was shooting down parademons, but he really couldn't do that much against parademons. I mean, he had the Nightcrawler. He shot up a couple parademons, but he couldn't really do much against parademons. I mean, and there's a lot of parademons. Look at much parademons. He got all the parademons. He got all the parademons away from the tower thingy. He got them away, and then the Justice kind of protected him. He blew up a whole set of parademons, and then after that, he headed back up into the tower, right, to get the rest of the members. A lot of stuff was cut, though. You could tell, like, there was some more scenes with Aquaman. You remember Aquaman hit some parademons with a trident, but, there was a lot more action scenes. And it probably would have connected the movie a little bit more. There was a lot more action in it. That's what I got. There was, I think with Superman, it was going to be longer. Superman was going to fight with them a little bit more. But it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. So you would have gotten more action for sure. You would have got a little bit more background on Cyborg, the Flash, a little bit more, I believe, a little bit more background on Aquaman. Because I heard that the guy who was playing Vulko, he obviously had a part to play in Justice League, but they snipped that out, right? With the Flash, we know that it was a deleted scene. It wasn't completed, but there was a scene where he was supposed to, apparently it wasn't finished with Iris West. We saw that, actually, him running out there. Iris West had slammed. You remember I told you guys from the trailer, I don't know if you guys remember following me with that that, you know, it was a car slamming into a truck, and it proved to be right. I was right, but it wasn't finished. So, you know, we didn't see the Flash break the glass with his finger, run out there. And again, all of this is like fan service. This would have been nice. That would have been nice to see, but it wouldn't have really added to the story or the plot of the story. So it wasn't necessary, you know? So you had some things that just, like, for me, as I try to recap the movie and everything, when I look at it, you had, like, there was the time when Batman and Wonder Woman are together, and Batman's talking about something darker coming, right? Remember that? But we only see the picture of Batman that Cyborg's holding up. We don't see him making that statement to Wonder Woman at the time. You don't see that. And it's okay. I mean, we saw Wonder Woman in the black suit when she was talking to Batman. We saw extended footage of it in the trailer where she was talking to Batman about the age of heroes coming back again and all of that. So we know there was more conversation between Diana and Bruce, for instance. And then, of course, when Bruce leaves and goes to see the Flash, we see Diana. What's kind of interesting, though, is how they changed the color palette on certain things. Like with Diana, when she was in front of the computers talking to Cyborg, we saw her talking to Bruce. She was talking to Bruce as well. A time before, sat down talking to Bruce. And we know that there's that, you know, some of that extra stuff there that they were having a conversation about, you know, Aquaman and how Batman didn't get through, that Aquaman wasn't going to be on the team and all of that stuff. So there was more conversation going on between Bruce and Diana that they cut just to get to the point of the film. Understand? So there was some stuff that was cut from the film, obviously, but again, nothing for me personally to say, oh, well, that took from the story. No, it doesn't take from the story. And that's, for me, I'm a story-driven person anyway. This is not Suicide Squad, where the story and the plot was thin. This is not a thin plot. This is not a thin story, because the characters, they developed. They had to make decisions about being on this team. The difference between this and Suicide Squad is everybody had to be on the team, right? So we were getting background on the characters. So they were, as they were moving along, we get background on them. This is different. This is, we're getting the characters, we're learning about them, things are happening to them, things are happening to their family members, you know, and they have consequences to the movie, how things go on in the movie. So that's the interesting thing about this. Kind of like it's a plot-driven film in a way, simpler than BVS, but it's a plot-driven film. I like that stuff. Did you feel Batman looked weak when he took 3 hits from a parademon, then scrambled to call in the Nightcrawler? I facepalmed. He looked weak ass. Dude, it's a parademon. What are you talking about? Do you see what the parademon looks like? Do you understand that's a parademon? That's why he needed a tactical suit. Did you see he changed up his suit after he brought Superman to life? He changed into a tactical suit. You know why he changed into a tactical suit? Can't handle them parademons, man. You mash him up. He's tough, but I mean, it's a parademon. This is not Futter. All right? The other guys, they're superpowered beings, so they can deal with the parademons, but the Batman ain't superpowered. You know, that's why he had to use the Nightcrawler. And he did take out the parademon after the parademon smashed him. He took the parademon, lifted the dude up physically, and threw him. Threw him into a wall. They're super strong, man. This is not the warehouse scene. You understand? These are not human beings. And Batman's a really strong human being. All right? But this is not a human. It's a parademon. Oh, 1000. Chappie and C-Dog, you guys aren't very positive about the movie, are you? No, they don't. But we've been having a conversation, Dave Ethan, and they basically be talking about some of their dissatisfaction with certain things happening in the movie. And what we basically now having is a real conversation about the movie. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool. I mean, Chappie A. Shield says, I wonder who the new writers and directors be post Snyder. Sam Mendes, Joe Logan, Purvis, can't remember his first name, Lieta Kalogris, Tony Gilroy, Garth Edwards, Peter Jackson. I don't know. They're the same people who made Skyfall started working on DC films. Then I'd be hyped. Chappie says Thor Ragnarok leveled out at 848 million. Oh, that's good for them, man. Justice League leveled out at 652 million. Well, they ain't done yet, but yeah. Thor just beat up the A team of the DC universe. Shame. Yeah, it is somewhat of a shame, I would say, because, you know, we expected Justice League to do much better, but hey, I still like the Justice League movie, and you know how I feel about Thor, guys. I ain't gonna talk about Thor. Chappie Lamoshil. MCU will be sustained through 2018, 2019, possibly 2020. But DC, I'm not sure about their future. Well, hey, man. Once the DCU is around, I'll be watching comic book movies. If the DCU is not around, I ain't watching no comic book movie. I'm out. I mean, I will be checking out Black Panther next year. That's about it when it comes to the MCU. I was kind of interested in looking also at the X-Men film, that Future X, that Future X film, or whatever they call it. I was kind of interested in that, but that's about it, really. X-Men Apocalypse was not bad for me. I kind of enjoyed it. So, like, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not really an MCU fanboy. I'm not, or a fan or anything like that. I'm not really into the MCU like that. I'm more into the DCEU. I'm more into more serious films. Logan was okay. I liked Logan. I liked Logan. It was a good film. It was a good film. You know what I'm saying? It was a good film. All right. Hugh Jackman did it. I love when he went berserko, man. When he went straight Wolverine, man. He had to take the drug to do it, but I love that. I love that. That was Wolverine for me. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, Logan was good. It was a good film. It was a good film, man. It's a good film. It was a good film. You know, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy was fun. It was fun for me. I enjoyed myself with Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I like that. I like that film. That was a good Marvel film. It reminded me of what Marvel really is to their core. This is what Marvel is, and I really enjoyed that. Didn't enjoy the first Guardians of the Galaxy, but the second one was a hoot for me. Baby Groot, man. Baby Groot is a trip, man. And now I think he's a teenager now. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Interesting. Yeah, I like Guardians of the Galaxy. I like it. You know, I like it. You know, and they are what they are. They are what they are. You know what I'm saying? Guardians of the Galaxy, they just what they are. What they are. You know what I'm saying? I got used to them. So anytime I see a next Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you know, I know what they are. I know what to expect, and you might get me watching it again because I really enjoyed the second one. Well, I didn't need to see it a second time, but I enjoyed the second one, and I like the relationships between the characters as well. But other than that, I'm not really into the MCU, man. I'll be honest with you. So you don't really hear me talking much about it. I don't hate on the MCU or nothing like that. I don't waste my time talking about things that I don't particularly like. So if you start talking about things that I don't particularly like, it's okay. You just won't hear me say anything about it. I'll just get quiet. I won't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, if you excited about it, good. Not excited about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's that simple. All right, man, guys. I've been talking whole afternoon. You guys had your belly full of me. And I personally like to say that all I'm telling you guys is to be open-minded about certain things and to aspire to certain character qualities, right? So what I read in Psalms 49 says that we ain't gonna be here forever, guys. I appreciate the moments with you guys, and it's good that we could actually be constructive about something and actually talk something that's positive. This is amazing what you can do when you start to open up and actually talk about things. And you don't have to agree on everything, but you must be able to see the value in things. You know, one thing about me, you'll notice, even if I don't like a certain movie, I set aside my emotions and I will break down whatever I see that is valuable in a movie. And when you can do that, that means that you're able to take things and go further with them, right? And there's nothing wrong, everybody, listen, ain't nothing wrong with being hopeful out here, all right? And I'm glad Chappie at least agrees with me on this, and even Fourth 1000 And now we have Scarlet Speedster. I'm guessing he's the Flash. What's up, Flash? I see you clapping away. That's good. There's no reason in this life you cannot be hopeful. And do understand, though, the consequences of being hopeful, and also being hopeful in things which seem to be dead. Understand that when you are hopeful about things that seem to be dead, that in this world that we live in, it's just the way it is now. People are going to be more, what do we call it? They're more likely to be more negative about things that you are hopeful about. And there's nothing wrong with that. The thing about me, like I'm trying to explain to a lot of people, is it's about testing your limits. It's about pushing yourself. You cannot have regrets if you act on hope. And even if things get worse, you keep on acting on hope. But do understand that even when you act on hope, it does not guarantee a positive result. All right? David Ethan says, the reason why Justice League is doing poorly at the box office, Chappie, is people like yourself. Look, man, it's David Ethan. Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. When we look at Justice League's box office, there is a number of things we can learn from it. I tend to right now get to a point after talking to Chappie and Force 1000 and some other guys. I get to a point where I do understand what you're saying, Dave, and I agree to some degree that people talking down a movie doesn't help it. But here's the other thing, Dave. It is also true that it is the people who love something will support it. I mean, there's only so much you can support, but I tend to want to focus on supporting something than focusing now on blaming people for not supporting something or even talking ill of it. Because at the end of the day, what I and you, Dave Ethan, both appreciate about this movie is, and we love Superman in this movie. We love Superman. And I know you're a Superman fan, Dave Ethan. And that's why you love this movie. If there's anything else about this movie that you love beyond a shadow of a doubt, is the Superman's in this movie. He's like, oh man, I might not have seen Superman in Man of Steel. I might not have seen Superman in Batman v Superman, but I waited, and bam, there's Superman. Now tell me if I ain't right, Dave Ethan. You know what I'm saying? And that is beautiful because, like I say all along, even though this movie underperformed at the box office, I mean, the number of people who I've been contacting on Twitter and Facebook, well, you know what's happening on Facebook, Dave Ethan. You see the overwhelming response that we have on Facebook. And internationally, this movie has done better than almost every DCEU movie except for Batman v Superman, right? But still, the thing about this movie that's so nice, besides just the fact that we love this movie, is Superman, when he returns, hope returns and elevates the movie. And a lot of people want to say it's Joss Whedon's Superman or Zack Snyder's Superman. Truth is, it is Zack Snyder's Superman. It goes without saying, but even so. No matter what you say, Superman is he stole the show with this movie. He stole the show. And you know what's interesting? There are a lot of people who wanted to see this movie. And a lot of people who are trying to get pirated copies of this movie. And there are a lot of people who are going into the cinema and watching this movie. Then they're coming back and saying, oh, I hate this about the movie and that. But really, they're just glad they saw the movie. And I'm just saying that regardless of whatever happens in the box office for this movie, and its box office is not over. I mean, I'm going, I said I have 4 more weeks to go. We have 3 more weekends. The movie, what we love about this movie, what I love about this movie, even though it definitely, without doubt, underperformed on the box office. We were trying to get it to $1 billion. I thought this movie whether it was, if even it was a piece of crap, it was gonna make $1 billion. Well, I was wrong, because I counted on the base that support the DCEU to support this movie. If that base came out, this movie right now would be somewhere near to $1 billion right now. At this point in the game, it'd be close to $1 billion. But they didn't. They didn't support it like they were going to support it. They didn't go fully behind it. It's okay. See, what I learned is this. I learned that in life is not predictable. But what is guaranteed is these qualities and attributes that we can take within ourselves and share with others. Qualities like hopefulness. And sometimes the hopefulness don't pay off immediately. Qualities like love, courage. Courage to stand out, to come out of the shadows, come out of the crowd, and make yourself a target. Which reminds me, I have to go and see this movie tonight. I don't know how I'm doing that, but so I came out of the shadows and I said I wasn't going quietly into the night with this movie. The movie did enough that is broken even. All right. This movie was not going to break even if folks didn't defend it. Okay. This movie was going to be a box office flop. Now, for those people saying, oh, well, Green Lantern was not a box office flop, go watch, go to Box Office Mojo and look. Green Lantern is a box office flop. Some people say, well, Superman Returns wasn't a box office. Nope. Superman Returns was a box office flop. Okay, those were straight up box office. Catwoman was a box office flop. Batman and Robin was a box office flop. Flop. Floppity floppity flop. Okay. I've been out here talking like crazy, man. All right. It was a box office flop. Superman Returns, 2006. 270 million to make. 391 million. It needed to make 540 million to break even. Did not do that. It was a box office flop. Batman, Justice League is not a box office flop. It is a Warner Brothers flop, but it ain't a box office flop. Okay, it made its money, what it was supposed to make, so it's okay. That's not a problem for it. But and a lot of the fans who were supporting the movie, they were like, the Warner Brothers DCEU fans, the ones that were supporting this movie, they went, well, it's not a flop. It's so funny, man. They were like, man, the way how they came down on this movie, we thought it was gonna flop. They were like, it's a success. I even heard some of them saying it's a success. I was like, no, it's not a it's not a success. Oh, so funny. So anyway, but it's not a box office flop, okay, in terms of what box office flop is. But in terms of Warner Brothers' expectation, oh, it flopped hard. It flopped hard. I mean, it hasn't made 700 million yet, man. It hasn't made 700 million yet. And I told you guys it needed to make close to $1 billion to be, again, I'm a realist, okay, to be profitable, to be something that, you know, because you're talking about the Justice League now. Now, Batman v Superman was okay. We get a pass on Batman. It did more than Man of Steel, okay, and it's a team up. There's no way Justice League is supposed to do worse than Batman v Superman. They're not supposed to do that. All right, it's not supposed to do that. It's just not. You can't call it a success, and it's not doing well. It hasn't even reached Man of Steel numbers yet. All right, so you have to be realistic, and I'm a realist, right? I'm not going. That doesn't mean I can't be hopeful. That's why I keep on explaining to you guys. You can be hopeful, but you're realistic. You know, I was the first guy to say this movie ain't doing well, guys. I don't know what about you guys. It's not doing well at the box office. I was the first guy to say that, right? And it actually leveled out. It started doing well, and then it kind of flopped. It kind of dropped again. It dropped pretty steep. It dropped like 50-something% or 60-something percent, I think it was. That's what it is, man. But we keep on pushing. And I'm putting out this video, which is long. So anybody who's really watching this video, y'all really, it's a long video. But I'm putting out this video because I want you guys to understand hope has nothing to do with the outcome. Superman, all the way up until in the middle of Batman v Superman, he got discouraged because the more he tried to do the right thing, is the more bad things happen. But he became hopeful again. And even though he was hopeful, it didn't turn around. He died. He saved mankind, but he died in the process. Okay, it got worse. All right, and all I'm saying is that doesn't mean because the outcome is a certain way, it means that you can't have hope. Got it? And act on it because it's the right thing to do. So that's what we're doing. All right, man. It was fun talking to you guys. I don't know if I can get to a late showing of Justice League. I mean, I'll come home late. I want to at least get one more showing of Justice League before the year is out. I don't know if that's possible. We will see. And that will be my 10th time for 2017. 2018 is coming. Happy New Year to everybody in advance. You guys are not going to see me on YouTube before that. Have a good time. Remember, I'm still working in the background with Justice League. I put out all kinds of good stuff. If you guys want to, if you like love the Justice League movie, I invite you to check me out on Facebook. The group is Justice League Unite. That group is blowing up all kinds of ways, which is funny because I didn't expect that to happen. So check it out. On Twitter, we're also Justice League Unite. It's a list. If you want to join that list, let me know. And also, I can't do much on Instagram, so I can't tell you where to go on Instagram. But that little group has become a movement of some kind. We're trying to bring positivity to the world, positivity to people. We're trying to be a beacon of hope to other people, and we're trying to work as a team and bring out good stuff. Another guy who's really good, you need to really talk with him, is William Adams. William Adams has a group on Facebook called DC Fans Unite. Check that out. No, DC Fans Give Hope, I think it's called. DC Fans Give Hope. Very nice page. It's not a group, it's a page. And this guy, he's been always battling in the DCEU's corner, and I love that. But do understand, DC has a number of different branches. This comic book has. And shout out to all of you guys out there who are keeping it positive and doing positive things in the world, helping out people and stuff like that. I want to give a special shout out to John King, Dave Ethan, we got all kinds of guys up in here. We got Dennis Kohler, William Adams. I got so many of you guys, I can't remember your names right now. But just a whole bunch of you, man. Keep on being positive out here. And let me say something else. To all those people, my subscribers, people who come through my channel, talk about different things on my channel, thank you so very much for allowing me to give myself as an outlet to talk about movies. I also talk a little bit about Christianity. I also talk a little bit about the Bible. Thank you for bearing up with me. I love to talk, so I talk a lot, and I can talk forever. But I hope you guys appreciated the videos, the output that I did this year. Thank you guys for all the feedback and the comments and stuff. Next year's a different year for me, and a different set of things and different set of variables. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember, nothing lasts forever. So don't expect me to be here forever. Assume that my channel will be up here dealing with these things forever. That's another thing you got to remember. All right. Nothing lasts forever. So on that note, best of 2018 to everybody. I hope 2080 brings bigger and better things for each and every one of you. I want you to be hopeful. Don't be bitter about things, but instead, or even if you are bitter, because it is an emotion, even if you are bitter, try to think of something positive to get you out of that den of bitterness so that you can see some better things coming up for 2018 all the way up into the future. Hopefully you guys live long and prosper. You guys have a great one. Oh, I got to do a review on Star Wars The Last Jedi. I got to go check out that movie, as well as Ferdinand and as well as Jumanji. So I'll try and get those things up for you guys. in time. I don't have money to go in the cinema and see those things yet. I got to go see Justice League, though, for a 10th time. You guys have a great one.